we're gonna go here because YouTube or because Facebook is just completely shut down at this point. It's so strange. It's such a strange thing because you would think like I'm wrong, right? All I do is sell pork pies. So you're gonna assume like why would they prevent me from reaching people if it's all just false bullshit, right? At least that's what my stupid common sense brain tells me, right? And because of that, I'm trying to debunk even the conspiracy stuff. Like, isn't it weird how Tartaria is a distraction from Tartaria? That's fucked up, right? Because while you're busy looking at all of the surface level Tartaria stuff that they want you to see, you're not you're not looking at what's happening right now. What's happening right now is genocide perpetrated by the people that control the information. So it's all just it's one big distraction, one big loop that you just keep falling in and you're you think you're it's like why people say, you just keep falling down these new rabbit holes. So what you do is you build yourself up and you get yourself, oh shit, I think I found something. Like I always think of it as the clock. 6:30 is absolute. Everything's sort of fucked, and you're like, what the hell? But come like 9 o'clock, you're starting to feel. You're starting to get to that point where you could either break free of the cycle and go in a different direction, or it's going to go up to 10 and 11 and 12. And at 12, you're at your height. You're like, fuck yeah, I figured it out. I'm right, blah, 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 blah. But then you go into a new rabbit hole and you immediately start coming back down because you got to fall down that rabbit hole. And oh shit, what was I just thinking? Was this right? It's this loop and it just keeps you perpetually in. And the thing is, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating that it's worth your time. And the reward is there. You get the reward every time you look. Every time, I'd love to talk to my lunch break. I wonder if he's sort of having the existential crisis that I am with this, or if he's totally falling for it. If he's like, no, 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 it all fits, it all makes sense, it's all right there. Because it does in a way. But it's like, I don't know if you're new to the conspiracy side of things, then you might not see it. Like if my lunch break, this is his first foray into all this, into the truther realm and all that, well, then he's not going to know how difficult it usually is to find information. Peter Servers, or part, Parter? Fuck, I can't read. I can't even see. It's all blurry. Parter Service. What's up? I does it ever dawn on my lunch break or anyone else that when you're looking at a Tartaria and you just consistently are like, yeah, yeah, like I found something, yeah, look at this, yeah, look at that, yeah, like there's a reason for that, not just because it's true. Do you not see how that works? That they've provided us with something fantastic, was something that we can all just sink our teeth into. And at the same time, they control every aspect of it. All of the information comes from them. And like I said, imagine if every Tartaria post was instead about the genocide happening. What if every Tartaria post was calling out the Jews? What would happen? Every post was talking about the protests happening around the universities and college campuses. Still happening, just not being talked about. And it's crazy because, like, I'm generally on the forefront of these things. Like, in the conspiracy world, I'm generally someone who finds stuff and then it comes out and I'm like, oh, look, see, I told you guys, And not believing in slavery. Like, I didn't know about Tartaria, even though I was already in that headspace. The idea that something happened in at the 1800s, all that. I was already sort of there and just not, I was missing the connection because, again, I'm at the mercy of the system. But then Tartaria started coming in, and Tartaria filled in a lot of those holes. But there's still holes. And then it was, and recently the Chat GPT narrative, the understanding, I know Chat GPT's been around for a while, but I never put everything together like I have recently. And sort of realizing, like, that's how they were able to do it. You there's all these volumes of history and all this narration that's been given to us. And we like, you look at those old school books, the big giant books that they somehow made, and like all the pictures all the pages have pictures on them, and it's all beautiful, and there's no way it's mass produced. Just no fucking way. And you start to understand that, like I know I see it in the My Lunch Break guy. Like, I know I see him starting to crack the code as well. And I think about it from like that Matrix perspective, where in the movie they give you the literal translation. Like, they give you a literal example of it. It's this green numbery code that rains down and becomes one of the most popular screensavers and blah blah blah, right? But it's just a metaphor. It's a metaphor for when they say eventually you don't even see it anymore. You're not even looking at the code and trying to see through the code and having to decipher it. You immediately see it for what it is. And I see that My Lunch Break is starting to sort of get that, right? Like, he's starting to put that together, that it's the same names over and over again. It's this, like, a lot of it's the same names, same places, same stories, same narratives, same characters. It's all, he's starting to see it. And I really like that guy. I think he and I would probably get along. He does bring up this idea of angels. And the problem with that is, like, as soon as you start talking, you start bringing in the biblical stuff, like, it like short circuits me. I just, no, that's bullshit. Just because the Bible might talk about something or whatever doesn't, and the whole, his argument is that angels are depicted everywhere, and that's who he thinks helped with the construction of things, is the angels. And I'm sorry, little babies, little cherub babies with wings and stuff. No, I don't know. You know what? I mean, it's, I used to say, I've been saying for a long time, the Fibonacci sequence is the base code of this whole thing we live in. And that's why you see it in everything. That's why, all of nature has this Fibonacci sequence in it. And it's because it's a manufactured, it's like, it's really hard to talk to people about stuff like this when people are like, the people in 1890 who think horse-drawn carriages are going to be the pinnacle of transportation forever. And you're like, dude, you realize, like, of course, like, it's weird how people don't think about that. Like, oh, well, what are you talking that? We don't have that kind of technology. That's great. Yeah, but we will. We're super close. If we don't already have it, chances are we already have it. They just keep it from us. It's crazy. Let's see how the shows are always. Come on.
Mom? I mean, Dad?
Yo.
Later. No, not your mom. He's doing his video. Oh, are you doing a video?
Yeah, what's up?
Never mind.
Okay, well, you can still ask me.
Later, can we get this switch fixed?
Yeah, if you want, if mom's willing to, then yeah, go right ahead.
Yes. Mom,
All these idiots in masks. They literally film the shows like this. Who built all that? These idiots in masks. People not saying no. Didn't say no. Just say no. They told us that for years. Just say no. Why would this be? I don't understand this. Why is this hot? Oh, that's what we find entertaining, huh? So, going back to, I mean, it's it's so frustrating because again, I feel like I'm in this place where it's a good place, and I'm really sort of figuring things out, and I'm trying to like bounce these ideas off of my constituency, you know, off of the people that are in this the same world I am, and it doesn't seem to be working.
Balance plates in the bottom right.
Strange. It's strange how somebody can be like, what's the difference here? Why is this feed sitting at 0, whereas my other feeds... Papa's here! Oh, now we're allowed to have one. Speak of the devil. But why? Why wouldn't I be allowed to have the same sort of feeds I've been having? And I believe it's because I'm cracking the code. Or have cracked it. And they don't want you guys doing the same thing. They don't want us realizing what I'm... Like, think about it. Think about how dangerous it would be for everybody to think like me. Like, if everybody thought like me and just questioned things. I mean, I'm a good person who doesn't wish violence and you know, for the most part follows rules and all that stuff. So, you know, and if everybody thought like you, yeah, it would be great. Imagine if everybody was questioning everything like I do. All the people that put their money, their time, their effort into Jesus and all that other shit. Just accepting this just fucking stupid narrative. Like, it's stupid. It's not even entertaining. It's terrible. It's a terrible narrative. I don't if you think the Bible is something reasonable and good to read, like you're dumber than most. Like, the Bible is just it's so stupid. It's not so, and it explains why Christians are so hesitant to have conversations. Because they have to, their side of the argument is just childish stupidity. You know, if your best argument is that I have faith, like, there's no argument there. Your best argument is that you just believe it. You have you know it's true because you believe it's true. It's so fucked up. It seems strange to me that I can't find a single Christian to ever even engage me. They're not willing to be wrong or hear from somebody that disagrees. So oh no, I'm gonna stay away. Oh,
Come here, Momo. Come on, I know.
Hey, Seen, it's been a while.
Hey, Dad, you need the phone?
Yep.
All right. Take your water. You were thirsty, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thirsty. I can't breathe.
Hey, Dookie.
He's erasing your thing.
I love you. Great man. Be safe, okay? And be good.
Tell ya I love her and I already miss her.
All right. Bye. Yeah, stay.
All right, so I did want to do this yesterday. I wanted to look up Down syndrome.
What's your drink?
And I've
Go ahead. Your drink's on the counter. Yep.
I was thinking about it, and like, I'm wondering the history of Down syndrome, right? Because, like, there's a kid that has Down syndrome
But
in our kids'
that's not
school.
a man-made thing, because you see that in animals too. It's in the animal world too. Yep, there's down cats, down dogs.
There are things that are
And their
fucked up.
faces are the same. Like, it's... So I don't think that one's a man-made thing. That's a genetic
Well,
condition.
so Why does Down syndrome always look like they're in their own tribe? Like the kids of Down syndrome parents, they look nothing like their parents. They might have like similar hair colors or something. But like the kid that my kids go to school with, he looks nothing like his mom and dad or his brother.
He looks like he would look like his mom if
He has
were
blonde
not
hair.
Down syndrome.
That's it. That's the only thing is he has blonde hair. But why is Down syndrome so specific?
Changes facial
Like,
structure.
right, right. Like nothing else is really like that. You don't think about, maybe the pinhead thing, but even that has some variations to it. Whereas Down syndrome seems like it's the same thing every single time.
Oh, that's like dwarfism, or
Yeah, but dwarfism again, there's so many variations to that. So many different heights. Like it's not like dwarfism makes everyone 4'10" and that's
no, but
it.
it makes their head oversized. It makes their arms too short. There are certain traits.
Not necessarily. No, that's not necessarily true. There's truth to it, but it's not like Down syndrome. Whereas Down syndrome is across the board, it's the same. So and I'm wondering like, are there cases of it throughout history? Do we have reported history of Down syndrome? It's strange. Like it's an 8-year-old boy displaying characteristic facial features of Down syndrome. Right. Like
At 8?
it's
Shows up
this
before
right,
then.
but it's the same that look. It's the same fucking look every like I haven't seen as many black kids with Downs as I have white. But even the black kids, they look the exact same. Down syndrome. Down syndrome, it's down in the United States, or Downs syndrome in the UK and other English speaking nations, also known as trisomy 21. Trisomy 21 is a genetic disorder caused by the presence of all or part of a third copy of chromosome 21. You would think extra shit would make you better. It is usually associated with developmental delays, mild to moderate intellectual disability, and characteristic physical features. Hey, there's Todd Church, the pedophile. Always got to show up, and I guess maybe sealing is a new one. I don't know. Maybe that's another one of their new code words that they're using. But that traitor Todd USA, that's a pedophile right there. Not going to deny it, are you? Symptoms, usual onset mostly at conception, rarely after fertilization. Risk factors, older age of mother, prior affected child. What?
Yeah, they say it usually happens when the mom is older. A geriatric pregnancy is what they call that. Anything over the age of 36 is a geriatric pregnancy, and that's where Down syndrome is most prevalent.
Life expectancy 50 to 60 in the developed world. Frequency 0.1% of the population. Named after John Langdon Down. The parents of the affected individual are usually genetically normal. The incidence of the syndrome increases with the age of the mother, from less than 1% from 20-year-old mothers to 3% for those aged 45. Hang on a second.
Our pregnancies were considered geriatric pregnancies. Crazy.
All right, I'm just trying to get Guy to come here. It is believed to occur by chance, with no behavioral activity or environmental factor that changes the probability.
Right, genetics.
So then it's not even, if that's the, like, to say that you have a 1% chance as opposed to a 3% chance, that's a joke.
Have you ever done any DNA or genetic mapping of any sort?
No.
Like, because AP biology, you get into the mapping of genes, and they'll give you, like, if you mix somebody with these genes and somebody with these genes, and then we had to calculate all the probabilities that could occur from that.
But that's stupid. That's such a waste of time.
Well, and
Talk
but
about a
that's where
waste.
they're getting those numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but still, I mean, again, it's a waste of. Again, a 1% and a 3%. If I said, here, this thing has 1% cinnamon in it, or 3% cinnamon in it, you're not going to tell. You're not going to be, oh wow, I can definitely taste the difference. I could, oh yeah, the one with 3% cinnamon is a lot more prominent than one that's 1% cinnamon. You wouldn't. I know arrogant people might think they can, but they wouldn't. 1%, 3%, you're not going to notice.
I mean,
So
1% changes depending on the pool you're drawing from. If you're drawing from a pool of 10 or drawing from a pool of 10,000, those are drastically different.
true. But even still, I mean, 1% of 10 is negligible. 1% of, or 3% of 10 is negligible.
Really?
You know?
When you get into high numbers, it becomes more serious. You know?
For sure, but it's not. Again, it's not like it's that there's, you can't have us. That's not scientifically accurate. How could that be scientifically accurate? Well, once you get past 35, now your chances go from 1% to 3%. It's just bullshit. It's just more bullshit of them lying. You know, just the more they fill us with to make us think they're smart and they figured it out, the more, you know, this is your brain on drugs. It says Todd the pedophile. So I directly call a guy a pedophile, and instead of denying it, he makes more stupid comments that doesn't debunk or you know, dismiss anything I'm saying, and it doesn't add to the conversation. It just wants more attention. Who's not going to tell somebody to fuck off for calling him a pedophile? Other than a pedophile, right? So just so you guys can see it. I see it. You know, I barely see the code anymore, right? Usually babies get 23 chromosomes from each parent for a total of 46, whereas Down syndrome, a third 21st chromosome is attached. Do you understand? Like, how did they figure this out? Especially when we go back and try to figure out, like, when did they figure that out? Chromosomes, we know about the chromosomes. Do you understand how small chromosomes are? It's fucking stupid. The extra chromosome is provided at conception as the egg and sperm combine. In 1 to 2% of cases, the additional chromosome is added in the embryo stage and only impacts some of the cells in the body, known as mosaic Down syndrome. God, that's fucking weird. Never heard of that before. Translocation Down syndrome is another rare type. Down syndrome can be identified during pregnancy by paternal screening, followed by diagnostic testing, or after birth by direct observation and genetic testing. Yeah, no shit. A chromosome is larger than your biblical understanding. A chromosome is larger than your biblical understanding. See, this is where, again, I love when stupid people say things.
A chromosome?
Do you really understand? Like,
No, it's not.
people who, first of all, I probably know more about the Bible than this dumbass does. You know, but the idea that somebody who doesn't believe in the Bible is lacking some sort of understanding. That's the biggest joke there is. That's how they do this. They try to make it seem like the person that's questioning things is questioning things due to a lack of information. Not the person that's just following, oh, yep, Jesus in the sky, yep, yep, God came down, made virgin pregnant, yep, Gotta keep cutting baby dicks, so we can see the rainbows, yep. Like it's knowing what the biblical, having a biblical understanding that should make everybody stay away from that poison. But again, this is the stupidity I get. These guys literally come in with their fake pages to say stupid nonsense that actually just helps my argument, and then they run away as soon as they start getting spanked. Because he knows he can't say anything. What's he gonna say? He just said a chromosome is still larger than your biblical understanding. Like, do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how stupid that is? That's not even a comparable thing. You can't even compare the two.
It was a failed attempt at an insult, is what it was. And, if you've been here for any amount of time, the excerpts that you've read from the Bible prove that failed attempt at an insult otherwise anyhow.
I mean, it's somebody is so, I'm hurting them, right? What I'm saying is smashing their belief, their reality, whatever it is, so badly that they want to hit me back. They want to hurt me back. Instead of trying to engage in the conversation and maybe try to help understand or anything, they're like, you hurt me, I need to hurt you, so I'm going to try to insult you. But what can you say? It's not like you're smarter than me. It's not like you're better looking than I am. It's not like you're more articulate than I am. So what are you going to say? You're going to say stupid shit like, a chromosome is still larger than your biblical understanding. At least he got the "your" right this time, but that's because it wasn't a "you are" situation. If it was the "you are" situation, he'd get it wrong. Down syndrome can be identified during pregnancy, by parental screening, genetic testing. Since the introduction of screening, Down syndrome pregnancies are often aborted, rates varying from 50 to 85% depending on maternal age, gestation, and race, ethnicity. They should be. You should do that. Like, no offense, but that's you're creating sadness. That's all it's ever going to be. You're not even denying it. I'm not even denying that my understanding is, well, actually I did, and I told you how stupid that is.
No, we understood your failed attempt at
we absolutely addressed it. Both of us addressed exactly what you're saying. The thing that you don't do, like how I address what you say, and then how you make up your own narrative to argue instead of addressing the things that I say. I'm doing what I wish you guys would do. But again, this Isaiah Peterson comes in here almost every time I'm live because he hates me so much and he likes getting made to look stupid. I don't know. These guys are the guys that, like, you would think, are they the weirdos that like to get their junk stepped on and stuff like that? Like, they like the pain? You lack understanding.
Really like, can I fuck your feet?
Yeah. You don't even know the God you hate. You don't even know anything you're talking about. Again, what? This is just stupidity. This is like some little kid.
And
you can't actually
something to hate it.
Right.
He doesn't hate God.
I don't hate God.
God because he doesn't believe he exists.
Right. God is not something that's hated. Religion is hated, but God doesn't exist. I don't waste time with that. Like, it's that lack of understanding that you have, because it seems like you can't even make accurate insults. Like, the shit you're trying to talk isn't even accurate.
And the God that you're praising is that same God that, if you believe the bullshit, is going to smite you and put you in hell for the shit that you've done. Like, making and selling meth around kids.
Well, no, that's not retard. All right. I'm not supposed to call him that. That's not Todd. No, this is somebody else. No, but like I guarantee, well, I guess I can't guarantee it. But more than likely, most of you have had sex before you were married. So, enjoy hell.
Right. That same God that you're touting is going to be the same one that
I'm sure
punishes you for
you've
your
never jerked off ever in your life, right?
had sex before marriage.
You had sex for
Had
anything
sex for
other than
anything other than
procreation.
procreation,
Right.
exactly. Had impure thoughts. Coveted your neighbor's
Had
stuff.
oral sex. Had, any of it.
Wished you had your neighbor's car.
Right, man, you have a nice TV. I wish I had one like that. That's all it is. That's all it takes.
Are you wearing polyester and cotton together? Because, oh boy.
That's Old Testament. God got it wrong the first time, so they had to redo it. And I believe in the New Testament. But you know what? It's our lack of understanding that has the problem. That's the problem. And you know what? I guess in a way you're right. Because in a way, I don't understand how anybody can be that stupid. I for the life of me, I can't understand why everybody else doesn't see all the stupidity and the bullshit that I see. And then you get guys like this guy's not, again, he's not going to debunk or even really address anything I say. He's just going to keep arguing his own narrative. That's what people do. Take this lesson with you into your regular life. Whenever you're talking to somebody and they start arguing their own narrative, you win. You're right. They're admitting that you've bested them. Oh, here it comes. They're admitting you've bested them, but they're just not capable of understanding it. If you hate God's people, you hate God. If that's, again, I don't know what you're even fucking talking about, but if that's the case, then sure. See, this is, again, they have to argue their own narrative. In his feeble, immature, basic mind, he can't wrap his head around it. He just can't understand that I don't believe in the thing. There is no hating the thing. It's like believing that the little partitions of glass keep people safe from COVID in the courtroom and shit. It's just this stupidity that's just like it's the lemon squeezed all over the chicken. You guys are just so stupid. It's unreal. I have to believe in God because this guy believes in God. And he's not smart enough to think outside of that box. So it just keeps going and going. It's so weird, man. It's just weird. It's a weird, arguing with people about fantasies and shit. Like you don't see how you're being distracted when you're arguing about fantasy characters. You don't get it. Like obviously, if they have you believing that your hero is this guy that died a bunch of years ago, boy, that's a pretty fucking bleak outcome, isn't it? Right? Like it's your guy's already dead. He's already lost. And to think like, what's your God waiting for? What's the how many more children have to be raped by clergy before your God steps in and gets this rapture thing going? The rapture, such stupid shit. Anyway, let's go back to this. Sorry. As of 2024, there's no known cure for Down syndrome. Of course there's not. Can you imagine there being a cure and like somebody's face reforming? Like that's not going to happen. Education and proper care have been shown to provide better quality of life. Blah, 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 blah. Down syndrome is the most common chromosomal abnormality occurring in about 1 in 1,000 babies born worldwide. I thought what they call is autism is like 1 in 100 or some shit. 1 in 700 in the U.S. So in the best country, we have higher rates than other places do, but it's not environmental. In 2015, there were 5.4 million people with Down syndrome globally, of whom 27,000 died, down from 43,000 deaths in 1990. That's weird. The syndrome is named after British physician John Langdon Down, who fully described it in 1866. Of course. It just happens to fit in with that reset narrative. Apparently nobody thought to, none of the Platos and none of the great scientists and doctors and all that throughout all of the early 2000 or the early thousands, the BC, the minus times, the minus levels, none of the doctors, physicians, nobody described it. Nobody described it. Who fully described it until 1866. Makes sense, doesn't it? God, it's like I would give anything to be alive in the 50s and shit, man. What an incredible time it had to be. Some aspects were described earlier by French physicist Jean-Étienne Dominique Esquarel in 1838. Oh, we've got a big jump there. 1838. And French physician Edouard Seguin in 1844. The genetic cause was discovered in 1959. When you think about that, right? Think about like what technologies were they using in 1959? This is the same year that they put out Eyes to Space. And they bragged about being able to control the weather and destroy hurricanes using aerosols from planes and mini HARP facilities stationed all across the border or all across the coastline. Strange, huh? Strange. Anyway, probably nothing to actually put too much effort into. We symptoms, cause, mechanism, diagnosis, management, and prognosis, epidemiology, and history. Levitas and Reed have suggested this early Netherlandish painting, the Adoration of the Christ Child, depicts one person with Down syndrome as one of the angels. Oh, yeah?
Stop it.
All of the angels look like they have Downs in this picture. But I mean, these pictures are just so fucking goofy. And see, so we don't talk about this enough. This picture is from when again? In the 15th and 16th century. So Oh, that's the angel with Down syndrome that they're talking about. But all the little baby cherubs look like they have it too. God, this is a creepy ass picture. Why do the angels have blood on their wings? But so importantly, this is supposedly the 1850s or whatever. You always have to look at the backgrounds. Look at the background. There's literally skyscrapers depicted in the background of this picture.
Yeah.
It looks like a modern day city is in the background of the picture. Don't you see that? And so they're saying that this angel supposedly represents somebody with Down syndrome, but look at that guy. And then look at the angels up top, the little cherubs. They all look like they look. That guy doesn't have Downs too. This picture is just weird. Weird. Who fucking painted this? God, I'd love to know. Like, so isn't it strange how so many of the artists from back then painted people's hands in the exact same positions? And of course, look at the baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Look how creepy he looks. Duh, 80 IQ. Again, not a single thing actually debunked. Just more, pay attention to me stupidity. And of course, I'm reading what we're supposed to read, so I don't really know how that's supposed to work. English physician John Langdon Down first described Down syndrome in 1862, recognizing it as a distinct type of mental disability, and again in a more widely published report in 1866. Edouard Seguin described it as separate from cretinism in 1844. By the 20th century, Down syndrome had become the most recognizable form of mental disability. So I guess we just yada yada that, huh? The history of Down syndrome. Jew hater, he says. Abso-fucking-lutely. I absolutely am proudly a Jew hater. Proudly. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? Or are you just stupid and just have to? I appreciate and like I love when you guys provide the example for me, because a lot of times I talk about the stupidity I run into, but it's hard to really put it into words. So when I have someone like you that comes in and they're like, hey, I'll be the example of it, like I really appreciate it. How about you do some research on the history of Israel? How about you take a trip there? Yeah, because I'm going to take a trip to Israel.
If you come to Detroit, you're going to find out the real deal about Detroit just by coming to visit, right? And go to all the tourist spots.
Of course. And you'd be able to do that?
Yeah.
You'd be able to come to Detroit and spend a week and visit all the different spots and just get all the educated in a week, a trip. What are we saying? A week, 2 weeks, a month, maybe? What a stupid ass. And the thing is, again, I just hate Israel for no reason. I haven't bothered to look into the history of it or anything like that at all. Right. Gotcha, guy. Gotcha. Never mind the Nakba in 1948. Never mind the redrawing of the lines in 1967. Never mind the establishment of the Palestinian of British Mandate Palestine with World War I to get the Palestinian people completely subservient and reliant on the British people. So when the Brits pulled out, the Israeli army, which Israel didn't exist, so how an Israeli military could exist, again, I don't know Israel. I don't know anything about it. And then this guy says, duh, and then der. Seriously, could he be making this any easier for me? duh. He's typing out duh and derp because that's all he can come up with. What a stupid ass. And I just, like I said, I just so appreciate it because it makes it so much easier. I can't talk about the thing you're talking about. So talk about my thing. And it would be fine. Like if this guy was having a reasonable, like intellectual, religious conversation, if he was providing the other side of it. Like if I wasn't smashing it to bits, if I was smashing it to bits and he was sitting there trying to put things back together, that would be one thing. But this guy can't even have a reasonable, decent back and forth about it. It's just stupid. And I really should stop addressing it because, it's a waste of time. That's one of my weaknesses. I have to admit it. I really do enjoy picking on stupid people who like try to bully. When you're a bully, I love making you look stupid. I love when it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and it shouldn't be that way. I'm essentially picking on the special kid here, right? This is a guy who can't even formulate reasonable arguments and just says duh and derp. Derp, and I'm picking on. See, this is where I get mad at myself because I'm punching down, right? This guy is clearly way levels beneath me, and instead of ignoring the pestilent child who the annoying little piece of shit, I'm like giving into it, and that's my fault. I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be picking on somebody so stupid. It makes me feel bad. Puts things into perspective, and it makes me feel bad. But I can't help it. Like I say, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. You can't tell somebody to just stop liking strawberries. They're fucking delicious. Man, all the coke I'm doing, I'm just keep blowing it out of my nose. I must not know how to do it right. So just like I keep saying, every single one of these commercials, when it comes to the Kamala side of things, they talk about government. Kamala is going to get tax breaks, and Trump wants to get tax breaks to billionaires. Like talking about actual government shit. And then you get the Trump side of things where it's like they say Kamala can never be our president. That's this weird saying that keeps. She can never be our president. I've never heard such a threat. It's a threat. She could never be. So even if she wins, we're not going to let her be the president. It's kind of what they're saying. But you see these commercials where it's like, Kamala, I worked really hard my whole life, and now Kamala wants to tell me how I'm supposed to spend my retirement money, and she wants to do it. She wants to give sex changes to transgender inmates. Like arguments you've never even heard of are now the number one thing the Trump administration is pushing because it knows the Trump supporters are stupid like that. Like, you would think the average Trump supporter, probably pretty poor, probably, pretty dumb, they wouldn't want rich people to keep getting tax breaks. They would want tax breaks for poorer people and the different programs that the Kamala side talks about. And all. You would think poor people would want that. But bigotry is such a powerful force, apparently, a well-programmed, powerful force that it's been sort of pushed like to the forefront. The bigotry is what is leading this election one way or another. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Go ahead and read that. Why? You're stupid. Do you understand that? You're stupid and you don't make any good points. So for you to suggest something, is kind of dumb. Why would I read something you suggest? And chapter 10, isn't that like, aren't there more, isn't it more to it than just that? But here, we'll even read this doofus's nonsense just to prove the point. But I'm still doing this, so I'm going to keep reading this. Due to its perception that children with Down syndrome shared facial similarities with those of Blumenbach's Mongoloid race, John Langdon Down used the term Mongoloid. He felt the existence of Down syndrome confined that all peoples were genetically related. In the 1950s, the discovery of the underlying causes being related to chromosomes, concerns about the race-based nature of the name increased. So essentially, everyone with Down syndrome probably has a same relative, is what they're saying. In 1961, a group of 19 scientists suggested that Mongoloism had misleading connotations and had become an embarrassing term. The World Health Organization dropped the term in 1965 after a request by the delegation from the Mongolian People's Republic. Yeah, they're not all Mongolian. Stupid Mongolians. While this terminology continued to be used until the late 20th century, it is now considered unacceptable and is no longer in common use. Geez, how come all the pronoun people aren't upset about that? You mean I have to use a new word? I can't just keep calling them Mongoloids? Come on, man, I have to learn a whole new word. Why are they in it? All the argument. How come all those arguments aren't used for that? In antiquity, many infants with disabilities were either killed or abandoned. That's how they account for the fact that there is no history of it. That it's something that seemingly appears in the 1800s. It's kind of strange, don't you think? But that's what they do. Oh, well, yeah, it happened back in history, but those babies were just killed or abandoned. So, yeah. Especially little mountain towns and shit where they didn't know. How would they have known the baby had Down syndrome other than, hey, it looks different? What about in Mongolia? If they look like they're Mongolians, they're Mongoloids, then how would they ever even know? In June 2020, the earliest incidence of Down syndrome was found in genetic evidence genomic before 3200 minus 3200 BC. They found some genomic evidence from this baby from minus 3200. Yet again, ask what happened to all the dead bodies in from the wars from 100 years ago. We don't know. Oh, we don't know. We don't know. Well, we found of the evidence at Paulunabron Dolman in Ireland. Oh, it's an Irish thing. Researchers believe that a number of historical pieces of art portray Down syndrome, including pottery from the pre-Columbian Tumaco La Toltia culture in the present-day Colombia and Ecuador. You gotta say it like Ecuador. If you listen to anybody from Ecuador, they say, I am from Ecuador. You gotta get all those Ecuador. And in the 16th century painting, the adoration of the Christ child, where the Christ child looks all fucking weird, but hey, whatever. In the 20th century, many individuals with Down syndrome were institutionalized. Few of the associated medical problems were treated, and most people died in infancy or early adulthood. You know, Well, after getting experimented on and all that shit. With the rise of the eugenics movement, 33 of the 48 United States, U.S. states, and several countries began programs of forced sterilization on individuals with Down syndrome and comparable degrees of disability. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People with Down syndrome should not be allowed to have kids. Are we fucking stupid?
I don't understand. Okay, so my ex-husband was a diagnosed bipolar manic depressive that needed medication. When we did a family history, we saw the genetic line that it followed straight to him. And we sat down and had a conversation. I was not going to have kids with him. The you know, the chances that our child would suffer from that same thing was very high. And oh, careful, it's his. I gotta fix that. Um, so because of that, we didn't want like to bring a kid into this world
So you were responsible.
that would suffer. Yeah, and that wasn't even
That wouldn't have the ability to love,
right.
to have a family of its own and all that shit.
Or to just struggle so much mentally that it was torture for them to walk this earth.
And for the parents. You know how much that would suck? You know how much that sucks? The kid with Down syndrome at our kid's school, his family has money. His dad he went to U of M, and every time you see him, he has a different Michigan shirt on, and they definitely have money. And when we were at Kalahari, every time I saw him, he had a drink in his hand.
Oh yeah, sauced.
He was sauced, and he's basically running around chasing his kid around, and it's funny because I'm like going through it now, like. The good side of that is that you're always going to have your little buddy around. He's never going to go spend the day at G's house and
is going to get older and realize and get frustrated. And my Aunt Patty wasn't Down syndrome, but I think she might have.
She was close. Yeah, she looked like it.
She was mentally retarded,
but she had the look. She might have had one of those other Down syndromes that we were.
I think so, but. At the same time, like her adult life was so depressing, and she knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So she would cry to me that she wishes she could have kids.
I just wish I had a better brain.
Wish I had a better brain. Yeah, basically.
That's what Carl used to say. With the rise of eugenics, blah, 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 blah. Action T4 in Nazi Germany saw the systematic murder of people with Down syndrome made public policy. Yeah, except. Funny thing is, there's no like actual record of it. It just it's one of those things that's said. With the discovery of karyotype techniques in the 1950s, it became possible to identify abnormalities of chromosomal number or shape. In 1959, Jerome Lejeune reported the discovery of Down syndrome resulted from an extra chromosome. However, Lejeune's claim to the discovery has been disputed, and in 2014, the Scientific Council of the French Federation of Human Genetics unanimously awarded its grand prize to his colleague, Marthe Goiter, for her role in this discovery. The discovery took place in the laboratory of Raymond Turpin at the Hospital Trousseau in Paris, France. Okay, so do you see this? They're doing it now. So what they're doing is giving you a whole bunch of details that don't matter. Not how they made this discovery, what techniques led to it, what machine, like all that. No. The hows and shit like that's never discussed. But we'll get all this other kind of bullshit. So this is the history of Down syndrome, and what did you learn? Literally nothing. As a result of this discovery, the condition became known as trisomy 21. Even before the discovery of its cause, the presence of the syndrome in all races in association with older maternal age and its rarity of occurrence had been noticed. Medical texts had assumed it was caused by a combination of inheritable factors that had not been identified. Other theories had focused on injuries and on injuries sustained during birth. So literally, it's like I just read you a whole bunch of shit where there's no like, it's not a history, just yada yada. It was first described in 1862 and then redescribed in 1866. But it was first described in 39. But it was first, well, it was first described in 44. But it was first described in 39. Like what? And then we just jumped to a bunch of the mongoloid bullshit, and then the misleading connotations. And in antiquity, we got 32,000 BC, they found some genomic evidence. And then it talks about a painting. Like, it's really crazy. And then we jump to the 20th century. That's just how it works. Other hominids. Down syndrome may also occur in hominids other than humans. In great apes, chromosome 22 corresponds to the human chromosome 21, and thus trisomy 22 causes Down syndrome in apes. The condition was observed in a common chimpanzee in 1969 and a Borneo orangutan in 1979, but neither lived very long. The common chimpanzee Kanako, born around 1993 in Japan, has become the longest lived known example of this condition. Kanako has some of the same symptoms that are common in human Down syndrome. It is unknown how common this condition is in chimps, but it is plausible it could be as roughly as common as Down syndrome in humans. Fossilized remains of a Neanderthal aged approximately 6 at death were described in 2024. The child, nicknamed Tina, go get some ham, suffered from a malformation of the inner ear that only occurs in people with Down syndrome and would have caused hearing loss and disabling vertigo. The fact that a Neanderthal with such a condition survived to such an age was taken as evidence of compassion and extra maternal care among Neanderthals. So when they tell you that we don't know what happened in the 1800s, we don't know. But we have this Neanderthal.
The Neanderthals.
This Neanderthal baby, it's 6 years old, had Down syndrome, nicknamed Tina. Liked to skip rope. We could tell because she had a jump rope laying next to her, and it had marks along the bottom, so we could tell she had actually played with that jump rope 48 times. Yeah, we know these things. I mean, this is the stupidity.
Well, what happened to Epstein's list? Oh, we have no idea.
We don't know.
No fucking idea.
We don't know. We don't know. Epstein? You say Epstein? No, we don't know. It's just weird. Hey, what happened to the all of the information about the greatest accomplishment ever known to man, us leaving this planet and going to the moon? We don't know. We lost it. But this Neanderthal baby, she was 6. She had an inner ear deformation, and it showed that
It's
Down
common
syndrome.
for them to get tubes put in their ears, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Neanderthals were, well, and
no,
Tina.
I meant people that suffer from Down syndrome. Isn't it common? They end up.
Yeah, they said there was an abnormality typically associated with. Yeah, they could tell by the.
I'm not being funny.
No, but I'm saying Tina, the Neanderthal, the 6-year-old Neanderthal. She had the abnormal. They didn't have tubes back then. Stupid. God, tubes in her ears. No.
Scopes to find the abnormality.
She died at 6.
Mm-hmm. That was what, written on a stone tablet somewhere?
No, duh, her size.
Oh.
Because they could tell. So let's read this Ecclesiasticles chapter 10. Let's see how good this is. God, I hate this stuff. Oh, it's always so stupid. All right, we gotta read the King James version because why would you read anything else? This is your version. Gotta love the way it starts out. Oh, and he says, "Why won't you read it? Are you afraid?" No, it's because I was reading something else, you dumb twat. But here, let's read your thing that I'm afraid to read. Because I bet you I'm going to read this and I'm going to get a whole big bunch of understanding that I lack, which is why I think this whole Bible thing is bullshit. But this is going to make me go, oh, no, it's actually true. Ready? You ready?
No.
Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savior. So doth a little folly him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. Duh. You want me to read it again?
No, I'd have to read it to break it down to try to
Dead
understand.
flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savior. So doth a little folly him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. Duh. What aren't you understanding here?
This is the stupidest way to say that shit.
Duh. Can't you see why I was afraid to read this? Because it's going to make me be like, oh shit, that's real. A wise man's heart is in his right hand, but a fool's heart is in his left. Yeah. Left-handed. I mean, left-handed, duh. Yea, also, when he that... Why are you leaving? No, you got to stay.
Oh.
Yea, also, when he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him, and he saileth to everyone that he saith to everyone that he is a fool. In the spirit of the ruler, rise up against thee, leave not thy place, for yielding pacifist is great offensive. Great offenses. Pacifieth. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I have servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Whoso removeth stones shall be hurt therewith, and he that cleaveth wood shall be endangered thereby. God, this is stupid. Yeah, buddy, I'm reading the Bible. What's up? No, I'm reading the Bible, dude. Well, if he's got to know if I'm almost done, because it means what? How much time does me almost done mean? Maybe. Or does it maybe mean 10 or maybe 30 or 4? What does it matter? If the iron be blunt and he do not whet, W-H-E-T, the edge, then he must be put to more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. This literally sounds like, remember when In Living Color would do a play on that guy in the prison, and he would be like, 2009. Oops, my bacon smelly fly. No, that was Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Yeah, that's what that was. Surely the serpent will bite without enhancement, and a babbler is no better. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool will swallow up himself. The beginning of the words in his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is mischievous madness. Now, seriously, I'm reading this because somebody was like, yeah, go read that. Then things will make sense. Seriously? This is the stupidest bunch of shit. Like, I've read a bunch of stupid shit in the Bible, but this is just dumb. This is fucking dumb. And if you think I'm reading all 11 chapters, you're out of your mind. I'll read the rest of 10, but this is stupid. A fool also is full of words. A man cannot tell what shall be and what shall be after him. Who can tell him? Right. We're too stupid to know what's going on. We need to be told by the God, we need to be told by the church, because we don't get to talk to God. The church does. The labor of the foolish wearieth everyone of them, because he knoweth not how to go into the city. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in the due season for strength, and not for drunkenness! Exclamation point. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. A feast is made for wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought, and curse not the rich in thy bedchamber. For a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which hath wings shall tell the matter. Wow, is that fucking dumb? That is so dumb. Read the New James Version then, so you can understand it better. Well, why would I need to read? Why didn't God make it easy to understand? This is stupid. This is stupid. It's so irritatingly stupid. And it totally matches the person that said to read it, right? Just a bunch of babbling fucking nonsense. Just a bunch of individual, like every single line here could just be taken as its own thing. None of it even goes together. It's just dumb fucking nonsense. Here, let's read the New International Version so it makes sense. Let's see. So here, let's see how it's been changed. As dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. As dead flies give perfume perfume a bad smell, huh? The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool and to the left. What does that even fucking mean? Even as fools walk along the road, they lack sense and show everyone how stupid they are. If a ruler's anger rises against you, do not leave your post. Calmness can lay great offenses to the rest. This is just stupid. This is stupid. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, a sort of error that arises from the ruler. Fools are put in many high positions, while the rich occupy the low ones. That's not how that works. I have seen slaves on horseback, while princes go on foot like slaves. Whoever digs a pit may fall into it. Whoever breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. Whoever quarries stones may be injured by them. Whoever splits logs may be endangered by them. Okay. God, this is dumb. Like, it's so embarrassing that people believe this stuff. And they don't even really. Like, at the end, they they pick and choose what they believe, but they don't live the life. If this was real, if they really thought this was real, they wouldn't live the life they do. If you are not stupid, I understand it perfectly fine. I'm sure you do. I know when I understand something, I can't put it into words. I can't explain it. I understand it perfectly fine. I just can't explain it to you. And I just can't make any decent arguments or points. Oh, it's so stupid. If the axe is dull and its edges unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. If a snake bites before it is charmed, the charmer receives no fee. Words from the mouth of the wise are graces, but fools are consumed by their own lips. At the beginning of their words are folly, at the end they are wicked madness, and fools multiply words. No one knows what is coming, and who can tell someone else what will happen after them? What? The toil of fools wearies them. They do not know the way to town. Woe to the land whose king was a servant, and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed the land whose king is of noble birth. Gotta love those noble births, and whose princes eat at a proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. Yeah, because you can't eat when you're hungry in the morning. Through laziness, the rafters say, because of idle hands, the house leaks. That's not what it says. A feast is made for laughter, wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything. This sounds like a Jew book to me. Do not revile the king even in your thoughts. Of course, the rich in your bedroom, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say. Good God. This is stupid. So basically, this is one of those things where it's sort of like, know your place, right? You are just a dumb goyim servant. Be that way and be happy about it. And don't speak out of turn. Don't talk about things you're not supposed to talk about, because you never know. Somebody's always listening. A bird may hear you and report it. And you don't want to be reported now, do you? So just follow the Jew rules. Listen to the noble birth. Listen to those people that you think are above you, and shut the fuck up. And like, this is just more of that stupid Jew control. And again, I was supposed to read this and get some sort of understanding, like, oh, the Bible makes sense now. Ask somebody for a biblical passage that makes sense, and this is the best one this doofus could come up with. Hey, make sure you put your mask on. Stupid. I'm not a language teacher. Oh, so you have to be a language teacher to be able to talk about what all this means? Like, again, if all you're looking for is excuses, you're always going to find them. Oh, well, I can't right now because the sun is too bright and I can't see the screen very well. Just utter stupidity. This is, I couldn't ask for a better, to prove my point, I couldn't ask for a better biblical passage. Now, you would think somebody that's trying to prove biblical stuff to be true would use a better passage. But there isn't any. They're all stupid and they all just regurgitate the same fucking nonsense. Follow your rulers without question, because if you question things, you're a fool. You don't want to be considered a fool, do you? If somebody calls you a fool, you got to fight. You got to go fight them now. They called you a fool. It's all stupid. It's embarrassingly stupid. And this Isaiah guy is embarrassingly stupid. It's embarrassing. How can an adult, this is an adult who supposedly has his own job and cell phone and pays his bills and votes and all this, and he believes this is like, oh no, this is the Bible verse here. Check out Ecclesiasticles, number 20, that's a good one. Wow. And this is, how do we override such willing stupidity? This is nobody's making him be this stupid. He's like, no, I want I want to be a Jew puppet. I want to follow this Jew nonsense, even though it's stupid. It doesn't make much sense. It's actually really awful. I want to believe it. It's really fucking crazy. It's crazy. And then to think like there's not a thing where if I say something and I want somebody to look at something or I bring something up and I don't go like, if you then start asking me questions about said thing, I'm not like, I can't answer any questions. I'm not a language teacher. If I'm going to express something, I'm encouraging you to ask questions. I want you to pick apart what I'm saying so that I can, that's how I get better. The more holes you guys point out, the more holes I answer, the more complete my narrative is. And so I'm always looking for that. Like, come on, let's do what you got to do. Give me your best. That's what I want. I want the best you can bring. And of course, this is what I get. This sheer stupidity is just, it's embarrassing. And it's crazy. Like, how does such obvious stupidity and trickery, just an obvious Jew control scheme, how is this so prominent? How do so many people willingly, you have the choice. You could either believe you're a Jew slave puppet or you cannot. And so many people are like, no, I am. It's such weird shit. You're embarrassing yourself. How? I'm not embarrassed. I'm 100% proud of everything I have to say. It's amazing that you think calling me a Jew is somehow some sort of negative. No, don't call me that. No, I'm proud. Proudly hate the Jews. Hate them. Hate that religion wholeheartedly. Hate all religions, but I absolutely hate that religion the most. And again, this is the best this dude can do. He's sitting here listening to me talk shit about him and how stupid he is. And instead of being like, oh yeah, well, I'll show you, here's something smart, he's just like, look, I'm I'm so dumb, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to repeat the stupid things I've already said and you've already, you know, used to your advantage. I'm going to say those things again. It's just amazing. It's amazing. No, start in Genesis and read until the end. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Because your first attempt was real good. And I've read Genesis many times. The whole how this, it's all fucking stupid. And it's really a story of like like the earth is something that anybody can buy. You know, you could, anybody in this reality outside the thing we live in has an earth. There's probably multiple earths. There's probably multiple. It almost seems like it's not even like uh, you know, something special. It's just a little novelty thing that anybody can have. And so this Todd God character, he has one, and it's in his basement, his seemingly like his mom's basement. I don't even know if it's his basement. But you look at the whole creation narrative, and they're telling you, like it's like an aquarium. And God's face is, God Todd is going along the waters of the deep, trying to figure out where he's going to put the land. And finally he figures it out. And the very first thing he does is make the indestructible dome. Which you just get, the whole narrative is just stupid. God and Adam just hanging out, making creatures, and then Adam's naming them. God makes little balloon animals, and Adam's like, that's an elephant. I like that one. It has a big long nose. That's an elephant. Okay, let's put that over here and over here and over here, and then we'll put a version of it over here that nobody will discover for many, many hundreds of years. Stupid. When you understand like just how many species exist and how many different, like God and Adam sitting around naming them. And the thing is, it seems like it's a weird sex thing. It's like a weird fetish thing. Because like the thing that makes God mad, the thing that gets Adam and Eve kicked out of the Garden of Eden, is that they somehow know how to make clothes and cover up their dead, their naked bodies. So you would imagine, like, I mean, like the bugs, God and Adam had to sit around. Okay, I'm gonna make this little one. This one's real small, and this one's gonna be called a fly, and this one will be attracted to poop, and it'll lay its eggs all up in your butt crack and shit. So you have like maggots and shit because you're Adam. There's no toilets yet. So anywhere, and these are going to be, these are going to be called crabs. These are crabs. These are little genital lice that you'll have that'll make you itchy as fuck. Again, laying on the ground, naked and shit, probably not the best thing to do. But that's how God wants it. And of course, God, dickhead that he is, puts the tree of knowledge in the middle of the Eden, the Garden of Eden, and says, okay, you can do anything you want, just don't eat from this tree that has these bright, beautiful red apples on it. These beautiful apples that, again, strangely enough, none of the worms, none of the bugs, none of the animals ate the apples and became aware. But this tree's just sitting there, and suddenly the talking snake, because again, more proof that it must be some sort of like, it must be some sort of like aquarium based thing in this dude's basement, because he leaves. He leaves. The God that can see everything and everywhere at all times. There's no time. He's beyond time and space. Everything is God's plan and yada, yada, yada. He didn't notice the talking snake. The snake that he created And then Adam named him a snake or a serpent. Somehow, because this the devil's really good at this. Like God must have like really bad peripheral vision or something. And like every time God's facing this way, the devil pops up behind him and does shit. I don't really get it. But while God's not home, while God's outside the Garden of Eden, he went to work that day. The snake sneaks in and he's like, "Psst, come here. Yeah, come here." And he's got a little coin he's flipping up with his tail and catching it. And he's like, "Hey, notice how you got bugs and shit all up in your coochie pop?" And Eve's like, yeah. He's like, "Go ahead, take a bite of that apple. It'll get rid of the bugs." And Eve's like, "I really don't like these bugs on my coochie. It's itchy and it's gross. And oh, my fingers are stinky all the time. I don't like this." So the snake's like, yeah. Just go bite that apple. It'll cure everything. So Eve's like, "Okay, I'll go bite the apple then. I'm going to bite the apple. I'll go bite the apple." And she bites the apple and she has one of those super reality Google space moments where she leaves up and then comes back down and she goes, "Holy shit, I'm naked. Good thing I know how to make clothes out of leaves." And she fastens herself some sort of leaf bikini or something. I'm not really sure. The bikini wasn't invented until like the 50s. So I'm not really sure what clothes Eve managed to whip together real quick out of leaves and shit. But not only does she make herself some, she wakes Adam up and she's like, "Hey," because Adam was asleep apparently. Maybe they just got done fucking. But she's like, "Adam, I can cure the itchy butt." And Adam's like, "Me no like itchy butt. Why you be talk so funny now?" And she's like, "Trust me, sweetheart. I can fix this for you." And Adam's like, "But me no like the way talk. You talk funny. You, why you got stuff covering up you stuff? Where you make those? You go to the mall or something?" And Eve's like, "No, I know how to make these things now. Just trust me. Go take a bite of that apple." And Adam's like, "Okay, I take bite now." Has a super reality moment. He's like, "Holy shit, dear, I'm naked as well. Do you mind fastening me some clothes out of those leaves you know how to make into clothes?" And just as she finishes making Adam's clothes, God comes home from fucking work or wherever he was. And he's like, "Adam, Eve, wherefore art thou?" Well, he doesn't really care where Eve is. "Adam, wherefore art thou?" And Adam and Eve are hiding from God. God can't find them. And God's walking around and he's all mad. "Where art thou? Art thou playing hide and seek? God, I didn't make you guys smart enough to know what's going on here." And as soon as Adam's like, he's just keep getting madder and madder. "We better go out there. Let's just go handle this." He's not going to care that much. As soon as they walk out of their hiding spot from behind a tree, I mean, God couldn't even see him behind a tree. As soon as they walked out, God was like, "Oh, oh my God. Oh me, oh my. I can't believe y'all's not naked anymore." And Adam's like, "Yeah, dude, all those bugs and shit we made, they kept getting in our fucking crotches and our butthole and they made everything itchy and shit. It was awful. Why would you want us?" And God's like, "No. Rules are no clothes allowed. I don't even know where you learn how to make these things. They look stupid anyway. You just go ahead and get on out of here." And Adam's like, "But I thought we were your children." And God's like, "Well, I just wanted naked children. I didn't want you. And you, bitch. Because I know it was you. You ate from the tree. I knows it was you. I knew you was going to be trouble from the start. I hates you. I tried already. We tried with that Lilith bitch, but she didn't want to listen. I tried to tell Adam. I tried to tell him. These bitches is nothing but trouble." But Adam was like, "No, I want pussy. I want pussy." And I tell him, "It's not worth it. It's not worth it."
But Lilith didn't want to listen, so we kicked her ass out. Now we're kicking your ass out too. And because you figured this whole thing out, from here on out, women are going to die, have all kinds of problems, whenever they give birth, it's all your fault because you didn't want to be naked in my little Garden of Eden anymore. You just get the hell out of here. And then they left, and now suddenly there's the people of Nod that provided wives to Cain and Abel. Like, it's also stupid. It's just stupid. You're saying a lot, but you're not reading anything. That's the story. You can't read the whole Bible start to finish and not become a believer. Yeah, that's what it is. See, again, notice how this guy just keeps saying stupidity. In his head, he thinks he's saying stuff. But he's literally not saying anything. He's saying, well, I read this whole thing, and because I read the whole thing, I just believe it now. Although I can't really express why or anything, what my reasoning is. I don't make any good points or anything, but I'm a good little Jew slave. Like, what a dumbass. Is this Family Guy's version of Genesis? No, this is Genesis. This is the stupidity you believe in. You probably don't like gay people either, right? Because of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Like, you're just stupid. Anybody that believes the story of Genesis, like, it's stupid. Explain to me why God couldn't find them. How were they hiding from God? You know, seriously, the best part is, though, there are actual conversations that are quoted in the Bible. So, who was there writing everything down? Who was taking notes of all the conversations? So then God says, wherefore art thou Adam? And then Adam and Eve are sitting in the bushes, and they're hiding from God. And then Adam said, like, come on, you know how stupid this is? When you just start breaking it down to the logistics of things, logistics kills most stories, most presentations. When you start just looking into the logistics of it, and does it make sense on a logistical level? Like, would you accept this same body of work if it wasn't the Bible? If it was just the book, and it was about, you know, Steve and Florette instead of Adam and Eve? Would you care? No, you'd call it fucking stupid. Just like you say Islam is stupid and Hinduism is stupid and a myriad of other religions that exist that aren't famous enough that we know about them, but little countries all over the world that have huge populations of people that believe these things, they're all stupid. Like, the difference between you and I is you believe 3,000 religions are stupid. I believe 3,001 religions are stupid, and that includes yours. I look at your religion the same way you look at all the other things. But you can't do that. You like this version. You want to believe this version because of the perceived benefits, I guess, because, you know, when you die, because you're too much of a child and too insecure to deal with the fact that you're probably going to die. Well, you're going to die, and that, you know, there's nothing afterwards. You're going to die like everything else dies. And there's nothing, you better make the best of the life you have. But that's too mature. That's too heavy for you, man. So you got to believe that there's a whole other life after that. And that one goes on forever. You get this small little blink of a time in reality. And then from then on, it's forever. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. You tell me what I got wrong about Genesis then, smart ass. Tell me what part was wrong. I added some conversation. But as far as the details go, that's what your dumb book says. Again, the same book that you use to justify your bigotry towards gay people, based on easily one of the worst stories in the Bible. It's I mean, I don't know of any offhand that are actually worse. Now that I think about it. What's worse than incest? What's worse than a man offering his virgin daughters to a rape mob so that rape mob doesn't rape two dudes that just showed up, that the guy had never met before, but they showed up, and like, it's all just so stupid. And it's insulting. Like, I don't get why it doesn't insult you that that's the narrative and that's the bullshit you're given. They don't even think highly enough of you to give you a decent story. They give you some straight up bullshit. You know, the whole thing about Sodom and Gomorrah and got gay people. Everybody in that town was fucking crazy nonsense. And where's the biblical scholar? Come on, biblical guy.
Are you reading the Bible then?
To know it, to know thy enemy, know what you're up against. It's pretty stupid, dude. It's amazing to think that adults actually believe that shit when it's like, it's really, really dumb. Like, it's sad how dumb it is. You would think with as much as people believe in that shit, it's like this really good, powerful stuff that if you read it, it's going to make you really think and stuff. But it's not. It's just dumb. Insultingly so. Insultingly stupid. And you see it in the believers, right? You know, you see it in the people that believe the shit. You can see the stupidity. They mirror it. The fact that, like, this guy has been here and he's made all these comments and he said all this shit, and not one thing is, like, even reasonable, even my book. And yet, for some reason, that guidebook hasn't shown anyone how to deal with, you know, how to overcome objections. How do you overcome the people that make your shit look stupid? You know, and the Bible's solution is just don't talk to those people. If people start asking questions that make you think too much, you got to stay away from those people. They're bad people. Faith. You got to have faith. Baby. Oh, my live is sure getting fucked with now, huh? Must be God doing it. Right? It's God. How come, why don't any religious scholars, preachers, pastors, just people who are like the people that carry around their Bible full of highlighter shit, how come those people never come in here and try to help me understand what I'm getting wrong? Because in my mind, I'm pointing out things that if I identified as a Christian, I would have a problem with these things. Like it, you know, hey, you guys, why do we believe in this story where the guy tried to give his daughters to the rape mob? That's pretty fucking weird. Hey, why do we believe in a story where God's only real commandment is not that we're good to each other, not that we take care of the planet, you know, not that we treat the animals good or anything like that. It's that we keep cutting baby dicks. As long as we keep cutting baby dicks, God will continue to show us the rainbow and let us know that he's not going to flood the earth again. Thanks to the Jewish covenant. Thanks to circumcision, which is the most important tenet in all of Judaism. The most important thing in that religion. cares if you're female. It doesn't matter if you're female. The most important thing in that religion is that baby dicks get cut and sucked. Gotta suck on that bloody baby dick, you weirdo moils, don't you? Tell me I'm wrong. Come on, Isaiah. Come on, doofus. We're talking about your shit right now. Get to defending. Come on, Christians, where are you? Make sense of this. Where are the Jews at? Jews are the worst. So where are they? Not a single one of you? You out there proud enough of what you believe to stand up for it? I'm proud of what I believe. I'm proud of my anti-Semitism. Are you proud of your Semitism? Do you even know what those words mean? Probably not, because you're probably stupid. Do you know that in 2021, the word police, I don't even know who you call it, the government, the system, passed legislation, I guess? I don't even really know how it all works. But anti-Semitism for over 100 years was spelled for 140 years, A-N-T-I hyphen capital S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M. Now there's a lot in stuff like that. Like you can tell a lot by words, right? Anti hyphen capital Semitism means it's a proper noun. It's a thing. It's an actual thing that requires, capitalization. That's what they told us for all of eternity, for all of the existence that we know of. Since at least 1880, when the phrase was first coined in Germany, as a another proud thing, like it is today, where it's like the Jews disproportionately and unreasonably control everything. We need to stop that. We need to oppose this Semitism that's everywhere. We are anti-Semitism. And anti-Semitism was two words that were hyphenated. Anti meaning against, and Semitism meaning, well, let me look it up for you real quick. Semitism definition. This is the Oxford. This is the changed version. So first, we're going to read the original Merriam-Webster version. Okay, see right there. Semitism, a number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. So, like when we say shit like chutzpah, wow, that guy has a lot of chutzpah. That's us putting a Semitic, Semitic character into our language. Number 2, Webster's definition. Semitism, it's a noun. Definition: policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. It's policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. That's what Semitism means. So anti-Semitism is you being opposed to policy or a predisposition that is favorable to Jews. That's all it means. You just don't think they're special. You think we're all equal. You think they're on the same level as we are. They don't deserve any favor whatsoever. Why would Jews get favor? Especially from Christians. The Jews are the bad guys in the Bible. You know? It's Jesus versus the people of Abraham, the sons of Abraham. It's New Testament versus Old Testament. Like, what are you guys not? For all of you who lack the understanding and all that, this is what it's all about. So wait, let's look up what the Oxford definition is now, because they've changed it. So now, according to the Oxford definition, the fact or quality of being Jewish, Jewishness, that's what Semitism is, according to the Oxford Dictionary. It wasn't even used. It wasn't used until there was no uses of it over time. It's not used before 1800. What is the meaning of the word Semitism, people ask? Policy or predisposition favorable to the Jews. That's what that means. Now, there's the new working definition of Semitism, right? There's the working definition of anti-Semitism and stuff. Like, they're changing things. And so in 2021, and this is another thing that I'm going to take credit for. I'm going to take pride in this one. And I may be wrong. I may absolutely be wrong. But I know that for at least 10 years, I've been telling you guys to look up the definition of the words, to understand how these words are used against you and what's actually happening. I've been literally begging you guys to try to see this. And so in 2021, they decided that Semitism, anti-Semitism, could no longer be spelled the way it had been spelled for the previous 140 years. It could no longer be A-N-T-I hyphen capital S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M. They changed it now to all one word, A-N-T-I-S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M. And their stated reason for changing that word, which again means, so they changed, which means somebody, somehow, some way, has to go back through all of the books, all of the records, all the legislation, all the documentation, all the everything, and change it. So something was so important. It was so important that it's worth all of this. You know, it's worth all of this, the effort and energy it's going to take to go through and make all these changes. What was worth that much? What's the motivation? Because they don't want people thinking that anti-Semitism opposes something known as, they don't want their people to think that Semitism is something that anti-Semitism opposes. Literally, like the literal definitions and the reasonings and all, they're literally trying to rewrite the history. Because of what? Because they know that if people knew what Semitism was and and how that whole phrase is being used against us and shit like that, then it would lose its power. Education, it destroys the foundations that ignorance is, the main ingredient of. Right? So the more we know about what, they want us to know, this is all just what they want. They put it out there. I only know this shit because they put it out there. I only know about the changing of the word in 2021 and why they did it because I read about it. And of course, this all happens at the same time. At the same time, Tartaria sort of sprouts up, and at the same time, COVID and Trump had just given Israel all this power, and Israel's planning this big 2023 genocide, and like this is all, it's really easy to see. Strange how, yet again, there are 3 people watching me, and not one of those people has an opinion on what I'm saying. Tell me what I'm wrong about. I'm literally telling you that this is the truth. This is 100% can't be debunked. Go ahead, debunk it. I don't need to follow conspiracy pages. I don't need to watch Alex Jones. I don't need to, I don't need to do anything. All Alex Jones is doing is what I'm doing. Just looking at the narrative we're given. So why would Alex Jones be any better? Oh, because he had ins and outs. I love how we all know that shit like controlled opposition exists, but then we don't think guys like Alex Jones are that. Business through the years. What does that mean, Terry? You know, how many anti-Jewish people do you know that look like me? Weren't you all given the narrative as were growing up, especially if you're like my age, around my age? I'm 45, so people around my age and older. Didn't you guys all think skinheads were going to be a huge part of everyday life when you were a kid? Didn't you think skinheads were going to be just everywhere and always causing problems? Because whenever I heard about people talking bad about Jews, it was literally always skinheads, except for the occasional, like, Farrakhan would say stuff. But either way, it's characters that are just, gross, yucky characters. Skinheads are gross. Farrakhan's gross. History seems to be business as usual. Yeah, for sure. It's all, well, see, that's where I'm getting to, is that, or have gotten to, is that more than likely it's all a lie. And for those of you that believe in resets, the idea that anything survives the reset as true is stupid. So everything before resets has to be fake, and really everything afterward has to be fake as well. Like the problem that most of us have is the arrogance in thinking that we actually know stuff. The only shit we know is what we experience in our lives, in our little bubble that we live in. Everything else is just stories told to us. And it's up to you. You choose what you're going to believe. You don't believe things based on the information, like facts and shit. You believe what you choose to believe. You're given, most of the time you're given 2 choices, and you just believe whichever one makes the most sense to you. Wear the mask and stand 6 feet. Exactly. We just believe the narrative we're given. There's no reason to. Nobody was, you didn't know anybody that died. You didn't know any young, healthy, good people. Everything was fine, and they just died of COVID. You might have known somebody that got that Q-tip stuck up their nose, and then they got sick and died. Or somebody that got a vaccine, and then they got sick and died. But the whole COVID narrative, the only thing it showed me, the only thing it proved to me was the existence of the worldwide government, worldwide population. The United States supposedly says there's COVID, and now everybody's like, oh, there's COVID. And everything shuts down, and it's all just bullshit. It's all bullshit. COVID was the fact that COVID kicked off the same time. What was that? Oh fuck! What was that thing called? Event 21 or something like that. I forgot what it's called. It's got such a nothing name that you forget it. But it just, it's like, there's so many reasons to believe in the conspiracy side of things. And there's very few reasons to believe the narrative, the truth you're given. Like the official shit. You know, like the whole religious shit. The idea that the church is the most powerful organization, and all these, they consistently get away with violating children, and they're tax free, and they're huge landowners, and all this other shit. All because they say 2,000 years ago this thing happened. And there's no proof of it. Literally none. And whatever they do sort of claim they have, well, that stuff's all on lock and key. Some say the Ark of the Covenant is in this oh man. The whole Ark of the Covenant being kept in this church. It's kept in it. So the narrative is, this is an official,
Do they know he's out there?
well, no, the babies are out there now.
There's only every adult that lives there home, but
Well, why is the littlest one out there with the dog? Conquer and divide. That's all they do.
being stupid's out there.
Which one? Well, now there's 3. You know, it's interesting because it's like, it's right in front of you. With them, they're Jews. Whatever it is, like they call themselves Jewish Americans. And first and foremost, they're Jews before anything else. And they stick together and they support each other, and their machine is very well oiled. You have it's not the people, like, it's not the me's out there that have been associating the genocide with Judaism and making that connection that those two are intertwined. And unless you support the genocide, if you don't support the genocide, then you're against Jews. I'm not the one that's been saying that. Michael Rappaport and John Lovitz and Jerry Seinfeld and who's the other one? I don't remember. All these other, especially Rappaport. Rappaport is the biggest piece of shit. Like, he is an awful, awful, awful human being. And it's them. Those are the idiots. Because I promise you, the Jews are stupid. How many times have you ever met some Jews and just been like, wow, what impressive people you are. Gosh, I'm so impressed by you. Your presence. I could just feel your incredible presence. How many times has that ever happened? They're not. Why do you think the Jews are in everybody's pocket in Hollywood, but they're not like the biggest stars? Because they're stupid. They're not talented. Occasionally, yeah, you're going to get some, Beastie Boy type guys that are super talented, super amazing, no doubt. But literally, the Beastie Boys, like, they're considered the greatest hip hop group of all time. When you say hip hop, you think of black people, and yet the greatest version of hip hop, the best rapper of all time is white, and the best hip hop group are the Jews. They do have a persuasion at a certain level. Not sure what that means. I mean, they control everything. They have a confidence. There's an arrogance about them that they know that you're not allowed to say anything to them, that they can always play certain cards, and they know they can always call Uncle Morty to get what they need. You know, they know that. But are they talented? No. There are several times throughout the history of Hollywood where the Jews sort of take over. And what they do is they like there's if you're my age again, you remember 80s television, and then prior to that, nose jobs were a huge deal. Everybody in Hollywood was getting nose jobs. Right? It was like when I was a kid, again, I thought a nose job was just this thing that everybody did. I had no idea, because it was so commonplace in Hollywood for you to see somebody getting a nose job. Well, who gets nose jobs? Whose noses are huge and identifiable? Who also happens to be the people that changed their names. If you go look at those golden years of Hollywood, it's all Jews. But they've changed their name, Kirk Douglas, and who you just name it. Well, if the Jews owned all the production companies and all the studios and shit, the Jews controlled Hollywood. Who were they hiding from? It's not like it was affecting. It would, it's not like the Jews in Hollywood would have been like, "Oh, you're Jewish." Like, why were they doing that? And it's to hide. It's so they can hide, so they can give themselves the best jobs and all that. But you'll see that those times when that happens, when they sort of kick out all the goyim and they just think they can do it on their own, that's when we start getting sequels after sequels or remakes, or, Hollywood goes into this, the creature from the planet Fum 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 4, all those old spaghetti westerns, and this formula worked, so let's just remake the same fucking thing over and over till we just kill it. The whole idea of cowboys, the whole redneck thing, even this, the Three Stooges, the violence that we do towards each other. These guys are supposed to be best friends, and they treat each other like absolute shit. But just like the whole nigga thug persona was given to us by the Jews, even though blacks perpetuated it, it was allowed to be presented by the Jews. The same thing is like white people, you should be just as upset, if not more, because, you make up such a much larger percentage of the population. But the whole redneck thing, the entire idea of the redneck, the hillbilly gonna talk like this and do. I eat squirrels and possums and shit. That's my favorite. Me and mama gonna live here in his house together. Ain't gonna brush my teeth. I got my overalls on me, and that's all them. They created that. When it came to bluegrass, with the invention of bluegrass and country music, the controllers wouldn't let the people be famous musicians unless they were willing to play that role. You can't play bluegrass unless you be's a mountain boy. My name is Irving Finkelstein, and I'm from Appalachia. Speaking of which, what the fuck? But it's what they've tricked you into thinking is your identity. There was this Ancestry.com commercial that always sticks out to me. And it's funny because after I started pointing this out, the commercials stopped being run. But prior to it was all over the place. So what it was, you know, John Smith, his family was German. He'd known they were German, generations of German. They had lederhosen and they celebrated Oktoberfest and they loved their German, blah, 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 German, until they went to Ancestry.com and it turns out that they're actually Scottish. So we're going to trade in our lederhosen for some kilts. And everything's like, what? I thought our identity is our history, our culture, our background. We're supposed to be like proud of that. And you're telling me because some Jewish company tells me that I'm actually this while also being 1% Jewish, like most of the people that come back? That oh, I should just give up all of my family traditions because you couldn't have made a mistake. This might not be real. Do any of you even know how that works? How do they take your swab and find out who your family was for all the generations and all the this, that, and the other? What markers are they looking for? How do they single each one out? If we're all such individuals with our own DNA and fingerprints and all that, it's amazing that they can do that. How did that technology just sort of happen? Almost like overnight. Oh well, best not to think too much on it, right? Best not ask too many questions. Let's just believe in Jesus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to church tomorrow, and instead of spending that 10% on my family and making our lives better, I'm going to give it to this church to do who fucking knows with it. Social Security for your generation, that's like a joke. You know? It's like, you know, what if instead of giving Israel $3.8 billion every year, we put $3.8 billion into Social Security? Wouldn't that benefit us a lot better? I mean, our society is just fucking broken. Do you ever wonder why you see so many old women working at at Walmart and shit like that? So many old grandmothers, and you're like, Jesus, why is she working? She's slow as shit. She's terrible at her job. She looks like she's in pain. She looks really, you know why? Because in our brilliant male system, when the husband dies, everything stops. The woman that was the housewife for 40 years now gets nothing. And just figure it out, bitch. We got money to give to Israel. We can't give you money. What are you, crazy? What did you do? You just raised a family of productive members of society and you know, to carry your house and husband all these years? How dare you? It's time to punish you, just like the Bible said. They're fucking with us, man. If you can tell me how I'm the bad guy, please tell me. I'm saying we're all equal. Skin color doesn't matter. Sexual preference doesn't matter. Pronoun doesn't matter. Religious belief absolutely doesn't matter. And that we're all just here together and that we should make this a better situation for all of us. Because my ultimate goal is selfish. I have a truly selfish goal as the foundation of my motivation, as the logistics. My logistics. My number one thing is that I want my wife and my children and my children's children and so on, and myself to live the happiest, healthiest, safest lives we can live. That's all I want. But the only way that can ever happen is if every single one of you is living the happiest, healthiest, safest lives you can live. And when that's the standard for everyone, when we all have to live by the same standards, a one world government where everybody's forced to be the same. When that's the case, then we're good. Food, clothes, and shelter first. No, I don't want just food, clothes, and shelter. Terry, I want a good life. I want to be happy. Food, clothes, and shelter, and so I'm basically, so I'm working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and I hate my job, and by the time I get home, I'm miserable, and I'm tired, and I'm just completely spent every day, so I can barely afford food, clothes, and shelter. That's not life. Happiness is a huge part of life. It's 2024. It's about to be 2025. We have the means, the technology, and the resources for everybody in this world to live in a good life, to live a happy, healthy, safe life. And we don't do it. That's the problem. And talking about the planned home, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, the only way I can be happy, healthy, and safe is if all of those people are happy, healthy, and safe. What puts my happiness, my health, and my safety at risk is other people who don't have those things. Yes, there's always going to be anomalies, and there's going to be little bits that we're going to have to deal with individually. But for the most part, it's a lack of being happy, healthy, and and safe that makes people do things that they wouldn't do. The fact that people are allowed to drink their fucking asses, like they made a movie about it. Leaving Las Vegas is about a guy who literally just drinks himself to death over a short period. It's his goal. And lucky for him, he's a gazillionaire, so he can afford to do it. And he finds a really hot chick, Elizabeth Shue, to do it with him. Amazingly. Huh. But if you want to ingest a plant, be it, marijuana or opiates, nope, that's illegal. It's illegal for you to grow a bunch of poppies in your yard, process it out, so every year you get a little block of opium that you can shave a little piece off and take every morning. Put it in a little ball and swallow it every morning, and then it just makes you feel real good throughout the day. You might even have to take a second ball later on, but it's real small. That's illegal. But a Paxil prescription, that's okay. And if you want to tell me, well, you can't, opium is a drug, and when you try to get off of it, it makes you sick, and blah, blah, it's terrible. Go ahead and stop taking your Paxil. Tell me how you feel. Go ahead, stop taking your Depakote, your Paxil, your Zoloft, your fucking you name it. The myriad of things they just willy-nilly just prescribe to people. Mind control and false flags is a funny business. October 7th is probably one of the biggest, most obvious false flags I've ever seen. There were no Jews killed on October 7th, and there were no Jews taken, real hostages taken on October 7th. It's all fake bullshit. Look, this is one of those things that I can proudly say I can prove it. I've proved it to myself. Good luck trying to do it now, because they've made adjustments since then. So, I don't know when it was. Maybe it was December of 2023. It was still 2023. But I had done it before. Like, we've all seen the videos where they talk about how, like with certain shootings, with Sandy Hook, how prior to Sandy Hook, there were donation pages made prior to Sandy Hook actually happening. And, we've seen multiple accounts where a wiki page is created before said event happened. And the first time I actually experienced it personally it was accidental, actually. I wanted to know the relationship between... It was right after Russia had done its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. This was like a week into it. And the news kept talking about how it was this unprovoked invasion. And I kept seeing all of these typical Jew markers, right? The typical stuff that they say when Israel's involved or Jews are involved. So I was trying to find the connection between Russia and Israel as far as their relationship goes, and how was Russia and Israel connected? And I just sort of stumbled across the page. It was the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine 20 whatever it was, and I happened to look at it, and because I just thought about, I wonder if this happens to have one of those pages that was created the day before. And back then, you could just go to edit history and then hit back until you got to the first edit. And it turned out the first edit for that page was made the day before. So, whatever. So, because of that, again, I don't really know why, but I just decided one day, hey, I wonder if the Wikipedia page for the Israel 2023 war was created before the actual page, or before the actual thing. No way to do that, right? So I looked it up. Back. Took me a minute. But I got to the very first edit on that page, and the very first edit on that page took place at 6:22 local time, a.m. on October 7th. Tuesday, October 7th. The thing is, the event that took place on October 7th was said to have started at 6:30 a.m. local time. So 8 minutes before the actual thing took place, the page was created. Well, the first edit was made. I'm not even really sure if that's when the page was created, but the first edit was made. So I personally found it interesting. And what I noticed right off the bat was the edit history was like ravenous. There were just multiple edits being made at this time, and in the first 3 hours, because I was reading each edit that went through, I wanted to see how it worked out, and I managed to get about up to like 9:30, right? But between the 6:30 and 9:30, there were like 1,000 edits. There were like 5 people that were going through, and like one person seemed to be in charge of like the main part. Another person was in charge of adding details. Another person was in charge of syntax, and and making sure everything was laid out correctly and spelled correctly. Like, it was really strange to see it in action. And to read as they are laying out the narrative that ends up happening over the next, 24 hours, if not more, they're laying it all out right away. So within a half hour, they're claiming that they've killed 1,500 people, 1,500 Hamas in Israel, which is important because the claim is now that 1,138 or 63 or something like that Israelis or people in Israel were killed on October 7th. They always word it that way. They don't say 1,163 Israelis were killed. They always say people in Israel. And this whole time, it started off that it was around 1,400 people in Israel were killed. Then it dropped down to around 1,200 people in Israel were killed. And that was the number forever. It wasn't until recently that I saw that it was 1,100, whatever, 63 people in, but it's always people in Israel. So they're not technically lying. They're just presenting it in a way that makes you think it was the Israelis were killed, but they weren't. It was Hamas people, or essentially Palestinians, that were immediately killed on October 7th. To the tone of around 1,500, that they're, again, they're not lying, but they're not necessarily telling the truth. And so they also said that Hamas launched 20,000 rockets, 5,000 rockets in the first 20 minutes, which works out to like 4,000 or 4 rockets per second for an entire 20 minutes. And they said that it all happened so fast. That's why there's no cameras. That's why there's no footage of it, because it was just so fast. They were launching so many rockets all at once. Thankfully, as always, the Iron Dome shot 99.9% of them down, and then 1 or 2 that the Iron Dome calculated would either fall short or go astray, those went and did what they did. But they're just laying out this whole narrative, and this is in the first 3 hours. These 2 things, the 5,000 rockets and all that, that's all within the first half hour. The 1,500 dead, all that shit. And by the time I got to 9:30, it was just like, what the fuck? And I had run out of time. I just didn't want to do it anymore. But to me, that provides me way more proof than the narrative I'm given. Than when they show me, we're gonna cut to Helene Schmokelstein, who is reporting in Israel right now, and it cuts to her, and it's like you can see that they had just started running. Air raid sirens are going off. There's bullets whizzing by our heads. There's missiles whizzing by our heads, and she's running. And this cameraman she has is amazing. He never takes they're running for their lives. They think ordnance are exploding, and they're running for their lives. And it never leaves her face. And they go, and they get down on like an embankment. They go and they run towards the embankment, and they fall against it. And she's like leaning like this on the embankment. And again, the whole time, cameraman is on her face. And she's like, and the bullets are, everything's going by our heads as we speak. And then she looks over at somebody, and the person's like, you can get, she's like, okay, we've been given the okay that we can get up. So now they're like walking around, and they're like, this is where the Hamas agents first crossed over the border, and we're coming with the, look over here, look, there's one of the trucks they were used. It just happens to be getting towed away right now, but this is one of the trucks that was used 3 days ago during the assault on Israel. Well, the first thing she says is she looks over and she says, look off in the distance. The smoke coming up. It must be from where Israel just struck. And then whoever it is off camera says, no, that's where the rockets were being launched from. So apparently Hamas uses rocket launchers that then leave a huge smoke plume where the rockets came from. So in case you wanted to fire back at them, you would know exactly where they are. But yeah, that's what we're told. Oh no, that's the smoke from us being attacked. So then she's, look, and this happens to be the truck that was being used by those savage Hamas when they came over, and it just happens to be getting towed away right now. Let's go look. And it's all just stupid. People who parachuted in, right? They were using paragliders in motorcycles. With paragliders and motorcycles, they were somehow able to take 250 hostages. How? How do you take someone hostage on a motorcycle? Okay, get on the back. Now, hang on tight. And don't wobble or anything, or I'm going to be really mad. Don't you dare jump off and start running at any point, okay? I'm gonna kidnap you on a motorcycle. You think that's possible? How does the guy in the motor, is he riding like this? And one hand on a gun pointed at your face, the other hand driving the bike? Is that how he did it? These expert motorcycle riders that Hamas has? And then some footage leaks. And apparently Hamas had taken over an Israeli tank and they were using it to shoot at Israeli buildings and break through barriers and drive. They were dancing on top of it. Yep. Yeah, they somehow took over a tank, and instead of using it to their advantage because they don't have any tanks, because they don't have a military, because they're not an actual country or anything. Instead of using that fucking Israeli badass tank, they were dancing on it. That's what you do, right?
Oh yeah.
You dance. And film yourself dancing and then post it on your Facebook page, because somehow they still have cell phone signals and Facebook pages to be able to do that. Who provides the cell phones over there in those vast expanses of desert? Who provides the cell phones? When Israel is going to attack a couple of hospitals, and instead of us paying attention to that, we are paying attention to Russia, a Russian theater where out of nowhere, haven't been seen in 10 years or so, ISIS pops up, attacks this Russian theater, and then goes back underground. Haven't heard from them since. But they did claim responsibility for the attack on Facebook, I guess. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Where do terrorists claim responsibility for terrorist attacks? What is there do they have a network? And then again, what internet service are they using? Who's providing internet to the terrorists? Do you guys not get this shit? It's stupid. What do they have in Israel that is so important? Jews! That's what's so important. To the Jews are super important. The fact that we're not Jews, so it's not important to us. Even though they make us think that way. Listen, if it weren't for Christianity, Israel and the Jews would not be able to do what they do. If not for the Christianity protecting them, that's God's chosen people. Like, the weirdest thing is when you look at the Bible, the best way I can compare it is like your internet tech is a distraction. Absolutely. Well, it's also the greatest weapon that we've ever been given, though. So the best way I can describe the Bible is The Princess Bride. If you've ever seen that movie, it's a movie within a movie, right? It's a story within a story. So you start off by watching Fred Savage doing Fred Savage shit, and then his grandpa comes in, and you sort of think that's what the movie's about? Like, what? And then Columbo proceeds to tell Fred Savage the story of Princess Bride, and then we're seeing Columbo's version, like Columbo's telling that story to Fred Savage, but we're seeing that story from Columbo's perspective. That's what the Bible is. The Bible is some old Jew reading his perspective to either another Jew or a group of Jews or whatever, and then we're watching that. That's what the Bible is. The Bible is a Jew book. Multiple times throughout the Bible, it's referred to as we. But, everything is the distraction, no doubt about it. And like I said, unfortunately for them, they fucked up and gave us the greatest weapon that we've ever been given. However, they've polluted it. Whether it's porn or it's, it's just stupidity, this amazing weapon that connects us all in a way that we've never been connected before and provides us with all of the information known to man, we don't use it that way. But it's like the concept of distraction sort of has to be explained. Like the church pedophilia is a distraction. And everybody's going to be like, what? That's not a distraction. Everything else is to distract us from that. No, it's not. The church pedophilia is a hot topic of conversation. And anytime they need to distract us from something else going on, they can bring up the church pedophilia. We get mad. We talk about it. We do this, we do that. And then it goes away. Do you guys not remember 2018? When the Pennsylvania diocese, 6 of 8 Pennsylvania dioceses were found to be riddled with pedophilia, and stories of them finding out one of their practitioners was a pedophile and then quietly sending him to other parts of the country. And this happened just multiple, hundreds of times. 6 out of the 8 dioceses were all like this. The other 2 were Amish country. So we just didn't get that information. I'm sure it was 8 of 8, but because somehow the Amish live outside the law in our country, that's allowed to happen. But, I mistakenly thought that, hey, maybe this is going to lead to a domino effect and all the dioceses are going to get investigated and this is going to be a big deal. And nope. Hey, Michael Jackson, everybody fleeing Neverland, pay attention to the dead guy. Oh, measles. Oh, gotta go get your measles shot. Oh, Epstein's dead. Everybody pay attention to this dead guy now. Oh, now we've got COVID and everything changes. The new pipeline being built. The Ben Gurion pipeline. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Fucked up shit. All shit that they're distracting us from, no doubt about it. But when you're talking about the pedophilia in the church, or the pedophilia in Hollywood, or the Trump-Harris bullshit, the whole political, literally none of that shit is true or matters, or it's all bullshit. When you're talking about Tartaria, when you're talking about any of this shit, it's all distraction because the only way we can actually answer any of those things or fix any of those things is if we overthrow the Jews that control our narrative, the Jews that are in charge. You know, the people that make the laws what they are, that protects the pedophiles and all that other shit. The ones that decide that our money, $18 billion since October 7th last year has been given to Israel. $18 billion. How much of that do you think went towards building a new pipeline? They couldn't just have the United States pay for the pipeline and us just give them money to build the pipeline flat out, could they? No. So what do they do? They create this false narrative, and then, I mean, why would we be giving Israel money at all? They're fighting against dirt people with fucking rocks and sticks and donkeys and shit. You guys don't remember, but months before October 7th, Israel had already started doing this all over. And one of the largest refugee Palestinian enclaves was Jenin. And they brought like a full military in on Jenin, thousands of vehicles, thousands of soldiers, all it was like a practice mission for what's going on now. And in this one of the largest camps, after all the searching they did, they found some like 36 guns. You know, most of which were hunting rifles. A handful were pistols. And that was all they found. That was all the opposition that group of Palestinians had, and Israel took it. They took the shit. So to think that we are continuing to give them money like they're the victims, they're losing, they're not a first world country committing genocide. What would they possibly need that money for? 18 billion fucking dollars since October 7th? Yeah. In my area, Amish own cemeteries, no property tax systems. Of course. The Amish, it's one of those things where imagine if it was black people. And I only say imagine it was black people because there is no black people version. They wouldn't allow it. Nobody would allow black people to be like, nah, we're our own little religious cult group. We live in our own rules. We follow we don't, we still want the protections of the United States, but we are our own separate thing. No way. Amish are some of the stupidest fucking people. Yeah, what Jesus wanted is for you guys to wear fucking jean overalls, right? Jesus was like, everything's cool up until about 1930. Then, who cares? No more. I'm cool with 1930s technology. I'm cool with there being a phone in a town, but not in your house. You can have this technology, you just can't have it in your house. Even though Jesus didn't know about phones. It's fucking stupid, man. It's all stupid. And it's really strange because I'm having such a hard time with it anymore. I really am. I'm like I should be able to be my own Amish. How come I can't create my own little community that lives in this paradise area of the country and we get all the protections and all that, but we're tax free and government doesn't interfere. Like, do you know how much pedophilia and shit happens in Amish country? Hebophilia, I should say. Pedophilia is with children. Hebophiles are with teenagers, preteens and shit. Same thing with Mormons. Same thing with Scientologists. Why do these things get to exist? These are crazy. These are, if I say I believe in the almighty Steve, Steve up in the sky, he controls everything, and his son Horencio, he died for our sins, and I'm going to get locked up. But I start using these other terms, start calling him Jesus, even though I guess his name was Yahweh.
Hebrews don't have J in there.
It's just stupid. Well, but Hebrew is not. Hebrew is a new language. Hebrew was not.
I'm sorry, Aramaic.
Yeah, Hebrew was not spoken until, let's see, Hebrew language origin. The Hebrew language originated from the Canaanite language group and is closely related to Phoenician, Puic, and Moabite. Moabite. The Moabites are one of the leader of the Moabites is one of the boys, one of the two boys that were born to the daughters of Lot. You know, the guy that was so drunk he had sex with his own daughters. Didn't know it after wanting to give them away. But see, that's not true. Hebrew has its origins. See, they keep saying Hebrew has its origins in the Semitic language known as the Canaan, but that's not it. Hebrew language. Is a Northwest Semitic language within the Afro-Asiatic language family. A regional dialect of the Canaanite languages. It was natively spoken by the Israelites and remained in regular use as a first language until after until after 200 CE. And as the liturgical language of Judaism since the Second Temple period and Samarianism. The language was revived. You know, you didn't realize this, but like the whole Anunnaki, the Sumerians, that's all Jew stuff. Zechariah Sitchin, Jew. Like it's all Jew shit that you believe in this other 10th planet that goes in this elliptical orbit and blah, 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 blah. That's so stupid. Nibiru and blah, blah, that's all Jew shit. The language was revived as a spoken language in the 19th century and is the only successful large-scale example of linguistic revival. It's the newest language in the world. And it's the only language that died and just somehow came back. And the thing is, it didn't. That's the fucking fucked up part of this. It is the only Canaanite language, as well as one of the only two Northwest Semitic languages, with the other being Aramaic, still spoken today. And if you look at it, it's actually Aramaic mirrored. A lot of it is just mirrored, the mirrored version of Aramaic. That's how creative these Jews are. When it was revived by Ben Yehuda in the late 1800s, 1890s, it's based in Aramaic. But it's basically, he just held a mirror up and wrote everything in a mirrored way. Portions of the Isaiah scroll. We had Isaiah Peterson here talking shit earlier. a 2nd century -2 manuscript of the biblical book of Isaiah and one of the best preserved of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Just bullshit. The Dead Sea Scrolls are just convenient, stupid bullshit. Okay. The word Ivrit, Hebrew, written in modern Hebrew language on top, and in Paleo Hebrew alphabet on the bottom. So clearly, those two things aren't the same. They're not even close to the same. They're not even, you can't say that, like, that's the same word. The top one is modern Hebrew, the bottom one is Paleo Hebrew. You can't say that modern Hebrew came from Paleo Hebrew. There's literally no connection there. Not one of those letters looks even slightly similar to its predecessor. The earliest examples of written Paleo Hebrew date back to the 10th century BCE. So the -900s. Guys,
There is no negative in time. That's so stupid.
but that's why I say it like that. Because if it, like, you've been so conditioned to accept the idea of BCE. It's just like, oh, that's BCE. That's just, it's the minus time, huh? So clearly they didn't call it minus time, right? They weren't like counting down, right? So the narrative is that in 525, some dude in Italy named Dionysus decides that our historical calendar needs to be Christ-centered. So whatever year it was at the time, he was like, no, it's 525. Because you go back 525. Somehow he knew this. Somehow it's 525 AD. It becomes 525 AD. And this guy has some sort of calculator, some sort of historical access to a historical record that goes back 525 years, and he can calculate year by year that this is actually going to be 525, especially considering that the concept of zero didn't exist yet. There was no concept of zero. So I don't know how you do any sort of math or counting without zero being there. Apparently that's the narrative, right? So somehow this guy decides it's 525 AD, presents it to the fucking boss, I guess. I don't know who he presents it to. But everybody goes, okay, yep, you know what? I know it was this year, but because this guy presents a good case here, it's now 525. So everybody backdate everything. Go all the way back. So everything that was, whatever we called it, is now going to be minus if it's before 1 AD. Because remember, we don't have a concept of zero yet. So it goes 1 AD minus 1 BC. That's how time goes, is according to the Dionysus, the calendar we still use today. And yet somehow historical records are accurate because, again, they were able to backdate all of the records that had existed prior to this that said it was whatever year it is now. They went back and got their little erasers and erased it all and just rewrote it as the new date and then backdated it all. Do you really understand how stupid that is? Like, I sort of discovered this whole thing in the last year, and I'm still wrapping my head around how stupid it is. How just impossible it is. We're talking about no cell phones, no electricity, donkey people. According to history, although they were also building, aqueducts and pyramids and shit, but whatever. They did all that without the concept of 0, 2. How you build anything without a concept of 0? Just how do you have math? How do you have any sort of numbers? What happens when you get after 9? Then what is it? I mean, this is like, I'm not telling you a conspiracy. I'm telling you the official history of this shit. If I'm wrong about any of this, please come make me look stupid. Please. Go look up Dionysus and you tell me what I'm wrong about. And again, how Dionysus presented this to the keepers of the fucking information, and they were like, that sounds good. Let's go with that. Just, what are you even talking about at this point? This is where ChatGPT overlaps itself and starts making stupid stuff that you're just not supposed to pay attention to, or maybe you're not supposed to notice. I would imagine most of the people that end up looking up the history of why it's AD and blah, 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 they're not looking at it skeptically. They want to know the answer. The answer is given to them, so they go, okay, this is the answer. Dionysus did it in 525. The thing is, I'm not getting the credit I deserve for this. Because this is some genius level debunking of the historical narrative that we're given. By all means, please make my I'm arrogantly calling myself genius level here. Please make me look stupid. Let's see. How do you see Saudi systems in this whole plan? Saudi is the... So there's way more to this, right? There's way more to it than that. Yep, standing on a mountain and yelling a concept. Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's now 525 AD. Okay. Like, what? It's just, that's stupid. So you said so the Saudi thing. So, unless you've been here for a long time, you're going to think I'm lying, or I don't know. But I told you guys in maybe May, June, something like that Israel would do this false flag thing where they claim to be attacked and then it would start the genocide. I said that they would do it by by December of 2023, February of 2024 at the latest. But I said if it didn't happen by December of 2023, I would quit the truther business. I would admit that I was wrong and fuck it. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Turns out I was more right than I thought I was. And it wasn't December, it was fucking October. They couldn't wait. A week after the visa waiver program went into effect, they were like, all right, let's do this. But what people don't understand is that prior to October 7th, so while everybody is always distracted by the differences that Trump and at the time Biden and now Harris present to the Goyim, I've always been much more focused on what they agree on. And Something never ever talked about is the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords are Trump's legacy. And the Abraham Accords are a series of what's called normalization deals. Now, good luck finding out what the fuck a normalization deal is. But from what I can tell, a normalization deal is something that exists with Israel and the countries around Israel, all these Middle Eastern countries. And so what it is Israelis are now permitted to travel to and from whatever country is involved in the normalization deal. So in the Abraham Accords, it's Bahrain, it's the UAE, it's Morocco, or it's Qatar. It's a few of these countries, right? And they the way it works is like Qatar got rewarded with the World Cup. But what it is that Israelis are now allowed to travel to and from whatever the country is freely. There's no restrictions. I don't even know if they need a visa. But they're allowed to go wherever they want. Supposedly, the people from said country are also allowed to travel throughout Israel, but that doesn't work out as well. But sort of the main component is that whatever Israel decides to do, this country will no longer admonish it. That they will, if they don't support it, they'll stay quiet at the very least. They'll stay quiet. And so you're now seeing examples of it that, during this genocide of Muslim and Christians alike in this Middle Eastern area, literally nobody is fucking stepping up. Nobody is defending these poor Palestinian people. And you have to wonder, like, what's going on? It's because all their countries signed these normalization deals. Now, what's the benefit of the normalization deal? Well, that's where the United States comes in. The United States funds these normalization deals. So whatever little benefits, like I think it was Bahrain got a fleet of F-35 jets, fighter jets. Say they got 20 F-35 fighter jets as part of this deal. There's something called a memorandum of understanding that exists in our government. One part of that memorandum of understanding is that every 10 years, Israel renegotiates its how much money the United States gives them each year. So the last one was tentatively 2016. And what they said was that, this is Israel's going to get $38 billion over a 10-year period, $3.8 billion a year. But there's a couple of concessions, they said, that Netanyahu had to make. Those concessions were that they couldn't use the money to develop their own weapons. They had to use the money that we give them to buy weapons from us. So when people say, oh, no, that's military aid. No, it's money. We give them money that is supposedly earmarked for military aid, but it's just money. But it was that they couldn't use the money to develop their own weapons. They had to buy weapons from us, and they weren't allowed to ask for any more money until that 10 years was up. And there was this one article that was written on CBS, AB, I don't remember which one it was, but it laid it all out. Now, for some reason, that deal was like redone, re-signed in 2018. Chubby girl, do the thing. And then again, I believe in 2020, again, not 100% sure how it all worked, but when it was re-signed in 2020, literally the article from 2016 was copy and pasted describing what had happened, except the stipulations were now removed, and in place was that Israel, that they will now, the United States will now leave a cache of weapons in Israel that they can take from anytime they feel necessary. So now we're just giving them money to give them money. The ruse that we gave them money to buy weapons from us was no longer in place. Now it's just that we give them money and they can use our weapons whenever they want. So I'm not really too sure how all that worked out. It's a good thing our kid's responsible, huh? Good thing our kid did something about it, huh, Ange? Not the other teenager sitting there watching it happen. So the other memorandum of understanding is that Israel is to have the most mighty military in the region. And anytime there's an offset, or anytime somebody else gets something, like when we gave Bahrain 20, we'll say it's 20 fighter jets, we now have to give Israel like more. We have to give Israel 25 fighter jets to offset what was given to Bahrain. That's part of the memorandum of understanding. Fucking A, if I'm wrong, you tell me, okay? You know, that fat little piece of shit, I'm telling you. So you end up seeing, you see these types of things happening, right? So when you have these normalization deals being signed, what again, all you fucking idiots don't remember or never paid attention to or whatever, is that the prior to Biden, it was Trump's number one priority. But during the Biden administration, and especially in 2023, Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken, and Biden himself did multiple trips to either Saudi Arabia or Israel, trying to broker a normalization deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And Saudi Arabia just kept refusing. They kept saying, we refuse to sign this deal until the Palestinian people have a situation that's good for them, and this whole situation is worked out. We refuse, like the Saudi Arabians were playing the we're the good guy role, even though they absolutely weren't. So you'd think, since October 7th, Saudi Arabia would be like the number one big bad supporting the Palestinian people, but they just haven't been for some fucked up reason. So the whole, I thought that maybe they were just saving it. Maybe that's why they didn't, because, once I actually thought Saudi Arabia was going to sign. And the thing is, like, what was offered to Saudi Arabia, we were going to give them a nuclear program to get them to sign the deal. That was part of it. Not only were we going to give them money and all that, we were going to give the Saudi Arabians a civilian nuclear program. Do you understand how insane that is? And they still refused. There was a $2.3 billion weapons deal that was done with Trump and Saudi Arabia just before he left office that was frozen once Biden got in office, that was going to get unfrozen as part of the deal. And yet, since October 7th, the Saudi Arabians have been nothing, have been silent. So any respect I did have for them for not signing the deals, it's gone. It's nothing. And I keep thinking, because, again, there's a lot more American troops, a lot more American kids over in Israel right now than people realize. Our two largest aircraft carriers, how much money do those things cost to run every day? We don't know. But those are stationed in Israeli waters. And so what I think is going to happen is Israel, as they always do, will fire rockets into Israel. And unlike how they say, we're going to fire rockets into these coordinates, and then they shoot them down, so they have their 100% success rate. This time, so a few months ago, same thing happened. Israel launched some rockets into their airspace. The Iron Dome just happened to fail that day, and the rockets came down and they hit a playground where 12 children were killed. And Israel at first tried to run with it. They were running with the 12 children of Israel. They were running with it. They were like biblical, they were going to really run. Hey, look, we're victims too. 12 children in Israel were killed. Well, come to find out, the Druze are neither Christian nor Jewish. They're Druze. They have their own beliefs. And this community was a small Druze community. So it turns out that no Jews actually died. Yes, Israelis died because they technically live in the Israeli territory. But these are the Druze people. And when it came out that the Druze were getting mad, like, hey, stop claiming that Jews were killed, the story vanished. Who cares that 12 children were killed? They're not Jewish children, so it doesn't matter. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to fire a bunch of rockets into Israel, and the Iron Dome is going to fail. And those rockets are going to happen to hit an American base or an American this or that. And it's going to kill a bunch of Americans. And whenever that happens, Pearl Harbor, Gulf of Tonkin, whatever, then it's like, oh, that war that we were humans for, well, they now killed Americans. So now and yellow ribbons will be all over the place. And, that's just what they do. Now, whether they're going to blame that on Saudi Arabia or Iran or a combination, I don't know. But I think that's what's going to happen here shortly. I'm surprised it hasn't already happened, but they haven't needed it to. The fact is, they've been openly committing genocide, bragging about it on TV, and fucking ain't nothing's happening. Nobody says anything. Okay, so let's see. Computer systems most likely not up and running. Well, again, first of all, we have to realize that the $3.8 billion that we give them is just a small portion of the money that's given to them. Canada gives them $2 billion. The UK, blah, blah, Australia, everybody gives them money. But when it changes over, that $3.8 billion becomes about 15 billion shekels, which is their money. So just imagine how much money Israel is getting from all the countries all over the world. Secondly, Israel, there's two things you guys need to know about. There's there's the Pegasus systems. It's a defense system that Israel created that allows the governments, whoever uses it, to infiltrate people's phones and technology and shit. So they can come on our cell phones, and even when we're not using them, and take whatever information they want and blah blah blah. It's a backdoor into everything. It's the Pegasus software. It also, Israel sold it to all the other countries. So obviously, it's going to give Israel a backdoor into all of those. Obviously, Israel's not going to sell a technology that doesn't benefit them. So it also gave Israel a backdoor into everything. Now, the other thing you guys need to look up is Project Nimbus. And Project Nimbus is a multi-billion-dollar contract that the IDF has with Google and Amazon. And Google and Amazon swear that their technology, that Israel isn't violating the policy of their technology to not be used to harm others. While Israelis are bragging about, yeah, that technology is helping us on the battlefield tremendously. We're not going to say how, but trust us, it is. And the thing is, in signing these agreements, part of the agreement was that Amazon and Google aren't allowed to discriminate against who gets to use the technology in the Israeli system. So if the military wants to use it, if the this wants to use it, if the that wants, everybody's allowed to use it. Google and Amazon, why would the Israelis have a multi-billion-dollar contract with Google and Amazon if it's not to keep an eye on us? Guys, when do you wake up to this? Literally everything I'm talking about can be documented and verified. Go look it up. Go look up Team Jorge while you're at it. Shit, I think it's 22 at this point. 2022 at this point. Three large European news agencies, might be 2023, out of France and the UK, got together and did an expose where they secretly they presented themselves as some small country none of us have heard of, who are embroiled in a debate, in a political debate, or a political election, and they were posing as members of one side of this that wanted to overthrow the other side in the election using cyber espionage. And so they got in deep with this company called Team Jorge, which was this government-funded black ops, nothing on the books. The building that it's in is this big, nice building that has no labels on it or anything. It's all you got to know somebody to get in to know somebody. But once they finally got in, they bragged that out of the 30 elections that they've tried to interfere with, they've been successful 27 times. They were showing how they have at their disposal 40,000 bot profiles on any social media platform they want that can interfere with people's feeds, or it's Israeli. It's when the government tries to tell you that Russia interfered with the 2016 election, and they don't even really explain how. Like they sort of imply that Russia helped Trump, but Trump lost the election by 2.7 million votes. So even if they did, it wasn't a successful campaign. However, there's literally no proof. They don't show you any proof of it, any evidence. However, Team Jorge and Israel interfering is written all over that shit. And out of the 27 elections that they were successful in, they didn't specifically say the 2016 presidential election, but they implied it. And so they released this story, and guess who picks it up? Nobody. This should have been the biggest story in the world. Proof positive that Israel uses the internet, cyber espionage, to interfere with elections and fuck with dissenters and go after people like me who speak badly about Israel. And like, this should have been a huge story. Nope. Team Jorge is one of the biggest smoking guns there is, and nobody knows about it. Jorge. I wonder if anything has come up. I haven't looked it up in a while. Team Jorge. Israel. News. Sort by date. 3 weeks ago, the maker, Haaretz investigation wins prestigious European Journalism Award. So this won a European Journalism Award, and still you don't know about it. The Israeli Agents of Chaos Story Killers project by The Marker and Haaretz focusing on the investigation into Team Jorge. Oh, well, can't read this. Led by The Marker's Gur Migdi, Haaretz's Omar Ben Jacob, and French journalist Frédéric Métezieux. The investigation exposed an Israeli-based operation specializing in hacking fake identities and disinformation to manipulate elections worldwide. I'm making it up, right? I talk a bunch of shit, right? Israeli firms sought to influence elections across the world, mostly in Africa, though. So think about it. This is just one of the programs Israel has that was exposed. One of their Black Ops programs. How many, do you think this was their only one?
No.
An Israeli firm sought to influence more than 30 elections around the world, with the 2/3 in Africa for clients by hacking, sabotage, and spreading disinformation, according to an undercover media investigation consortium named Forbidden Stories. The company, with no legal existence, dubbed Team Jorge by journalists who posed as potential clients in order to gather information on its methods and capabilities. Holy shit! I guess I'm telling the truth. They chose this nickname because of the pseudonym of one of its leaders, Tal Hanan, who is composed of former members of Israeli security services, according to the Revelations of the Collective, Wednesday, February 15th. Its various sponsors have not been identified. The 50-year-old told 3 undercover reporters that his services, often called Black Ops in the industry, were available to intelligence companies, political campaigns, and private companies. We are now involved in one election in Africa. We have a team in Greece and a team in the Emirates. We have completed 33 presidential level campaigns, 27 of which were successful. Sorry, I said 30. It's 33. Just for shits and giggles, it's 33, huh? Ah, shit. Hang on a sec. Take this.
Oh. I'm sorry, you guys. I was downstairs, so I have no idea what you were talking about. I was on lunch lady duty. So I have no idea what subject you were even talking about. The lunch lady. What does that say? High tech in the wrong hands. Yeah, I don't have any idea what you guys were talking about. I'm really sorry. So this is probably super boring for you. A boring break. Oy. So have a cat entertain you. Hello, my name is Zeke. I'm very cute. She is very cute. She's like 3 pounds, if that. Maybe not even. It's a very tiny girl. I don't know. Didn't know what else to do. Everybody loves cats, right? Well, not everybody. Stupid people don't. Or ignorant people don't, I should say. You're not necessarily stupid if you're just ignorant to the kitties. Yeah? Only on that side, huh? That's crazy. Are they those Japanese beetles or ladybugs, though? I do not know. I showed you. I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I know. Oh, here's a cat.
All right. God damn it. This adds to a growing body of evidence that shadowy private firms across the world are profiting from invasive hacking tools and the power of social media platforms to manipulate public opinion. Hainan did not respond to detailed questions, saying, "I deny any wrongdoing." The investigation, published Wednesday, was carried out by a consortium of journalists from 30 outlets, including Code for Africa, The Guardian in the UK, The Washington Post in the US, Le Monde in France, Israeli Haaretz, under the supervision of the French-based nonprofit Forbidden Stories. Kenya, AIDS hacked. Don't know what the fuck that means. Kenya, colon, AIDS hacked. While making a demonstration of his technologies to reporters, Tal Hainan appeared to hack into the Gmail inbox and Telegram account of political operatives in Kenya days before a presidential election there. Forbidden Stories named the targets as two aides to William Ruto, who ended up winning the August 22 ballot. See, I told you it's 2022. Team Jorge was involved in a 2018 scandal commonly known as Cambridge Analytica. Remember that shit? The notorious British consulting firm, which has since shut down, was allegedly used to develop software steering voters towards specific personalities. It collected and exploited the personal data of 87 million Facebook users to which the platform had given it access. Donald Trump was one of their clients. Online public influence campaigns were carried out via a software program known as Advanced Impact Media Solutions, AIMS, that allegedly controlled nearly 40,000 social media profiles across Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, the report said. Remember, I just said these things to you because I don't make shit up? Let's see, sorry. So many different money systems in the U.S. Who is paying? But see, that's the question where I go, let's take that back 1,000 years, right? Even let's say early 1800s Italy. So early 1800s Italy is not Italy like you know it. Early 1800s Italy kind of looks like the United States, right? There's like, it's separated into all these different states, all these different manors, all these different, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, where one, monarchy, so to speak, or lord or whatever, ruled over a land. Now, each one of those lords had their own money. They had their own coins with their own images printed on the coins and on both front and back, blah, 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 made of different metals and probably minted in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to each for each little place. So throughout history, how were they minting coins? I know people will say, oh, the blacksmiths did it. Really? The blacksmiths were minting thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of coins while also doing all their other blacksmithly duties? Like the shit that you'll just sort of accept and just be like, no, yeah, it's just like this, without really thinking about how tremendously stupid it is, just shows you who we are. That last story was August 13th, 2024. Is there a link between Team Jorge and Indian elections from June 13th, 2023? Disinformation, another Israeli repression technology for sale, March 31st, 2023. Israeli disinformation expert linked to fake bank accounts in Serbian smear campaign, March 24th, 2023. Email hacks and the Israeli connection, March 5th, 2023. Now, these are, let's see, the Haaretz was the first one, Africa News was the one I just read, National Herald, Orient 21, Organized Crime and Corruption Report, Trinidad Express Newspaper, The Guardian, BFM-TV host Rashid Mbarki sacked over influence claims linked to Team Jorge, February 23rd. That's The Guardian. The Times of Israel French news channel fires another anchor linked to Israeli disinformation network scandal. Let's see what this says. France's leading 24-hour news channel, BFM-TV, on Thursday said it had fired an anchor after a probe into alleged external influence in his work, according to a company message seen by AFP. Rashid Mbarki was fired this week after the probe revealed that due editorial process had not been followed in several segments aired between 2021 and 2022. The channel's director, General Mark Oliver Fogiel, said in a message. The statements concerned issues including Russian oligarchs, Qatar, and Western Sahara. The Forbidden Stories Reporters Collective has linked the case to a bid by an Israeli firm dubbed Team Jorge to influence elections worldwide for clients. Oh, so they're saying that wasn't, there was no due process followed there. The channel had opened its inquiry in January into the work of Mbarki, a familiar face on its roster of news anchors. In the reports in question, these shortcomings were the sole responsibility of one journalist who has not respected the rules enforced within the editorial staff, Fogel said in the message. Gee, Fogel. He added that the channel has also filed a legal complaint, not targeting the journalist personally, over the influence peddling to which the channel had fallen victim. The channel would not further reinforce its editorial controls, he said. The Forbidden Stories investigation carried out by outlets including Israel's Haaretz, The Marker, The Guardian, the Brit, blah, 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 accused an Israeli firm of seeking to influence more than 30. They didn't accuse the Israeli firm. The guy admitted it. The guy was bragging about it. Influence more than 30 elections around the world for clients by hacking, sabotage, and spreading disinformation. Forbidden Stories is a French nonprofit that aims to continue the work of assassinated, threatened, or imprisoned journalists. According to the investigation, Team Jorge was led by Tal Hanan, 50, a former Israeli Special Forces operative named as the mastermind behind the Israeli operation, which runs a sophisticated software known as AIMS that is capable of hacking social media accounts of senior officials and of easily creating networks of up to 30,000 propaganda bots on social media. Boy, that's a lot of specifics. The report said the Israeli initiative was behind fake campaigns, mostly on commercial disputes, in some 20 countries, including Britain, the U.S., Canada, Germany, Mexico, Switzerland, Senegal, India, and the United Arab Emirates. There was no mention of campaigns in Israel itself. Mbarki's case was only a small example of the extent of the network's disinformation work, according to the report. He was suspended on January 11th, just under a month after the investigation was published. The investigation said the firm had planted reports on BFM TV about the impact of sanctions against Russia on the yachting industry in Monaco. Speaking to Politico at the beginning of February, Embarki acknowledged using information that had not been through the channel's usual vetting procedures. I'm not ruling anything out. Maybe I was tricked, though it did not feel like it was the case, or that I was taking part in an operation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it, he said. I'm really not even sure what the direction of that is. The disinformation market team Jorge and Cambridge Analytica, that's Yetkin News, Yetkin report. All Israel News, Israeli-led team of disinformation experts exposed by undercover investigative reporters. Notice how none of these are from ABC News, NBC News, The Washington Post, none of that shit. Isn't that interesting? Monsters lead such interesting lives. Don't monsters lead such interesting lives? Some people say Saudi, like 007 games, those special islands. Some numbers are codes. We don't get all the news of universities in USA and Israel connects. I mean, literally, the protests, the Israeli protests, are happening at all the universities and colleges and shit all over the country, and it's not getting talked about at all. Microsoft, some people in America from India own gas stations. Lots of people from India own gas stations in America. Not sure what that has anything to do with anything. Anyway, I've been on for way too long. The problem with these rabbit holes is once you start diving in, it's just so deep. You just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Anyway, I hope you learned something today. Terry, I hope you decide to stick around. Do this just about every day, so see ya. Oh, most importantly, pedophiles, kill yourself.